Magoni's a goal scorer. What about Dante? Dante's his own breed.
Give me 2 seconds, Eichel and Svetch, and I'll be coming at your neck. Richard Zednick, laugh past the breadstick, Artemi will bury. Send him on his merry way, lest it's don't carry. What's sadder than KK's broken spleen? Leafs fan with hopes and dreams. Rink Moose is back for season 3 with hot takes like you wouldn't believe.
I'll block shots. I rescind that. You've never blocked a shot for me.
Now let's turn it over to the host of the show. His character's high, but his skill level's low. Kid back checks like you don't even know. Championship flow, Jonathan Quick is a schmo. Yeah.
Oh, hello there.
Tis the season. Last year was like treason. Stanley Cup, more like a COVID cup. The year of Cooper was more a big blooper, like Ferris Bueller in a brand new cruiser. Now my car is a star, moves like a sports car. He can sauce like a Boston crisscross like Art Ross. He's peanut butter smooth like Quinn Hughes, and a work of art like that upstart Carter Hart. That's good kokanee right there. So in comes Keith. Will the boys be Leaf? Can Jumbo Joe and Nonsense Mo avoid another repeat? It's time to start the show, so turn up the stereo. Put your feet up, relax, enjoy a Bud Light Jack.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of the Rink Moose Hockey Podcast, an episodic podcast where 2 good buddies get together and discuss all things NHL and their implications in the fantasy hockey universe. I am one of your hosts, as always, Nick Costu, along with my good buddy, Kyle Nice. Kyle, I simply ask on this cold Thursday night, albeit it's getting warmer here in Ontario, how is life for you right now?
Oh my God, such an emotional roller coaster. Let me ask you this. I'm sure you've had this sensation before. I'm sure we all have. So you just get done a big interview, a colossal interview, and then you go through this emotional roller coaster of feeling good and then overanalyzing and then feeling like shit and then going back to feeling good again. And now I just don't know what to feel. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm actually on a high point. So hopefully I can keep that going for the whole show.
Well, and I think our guest this week might be able to lend you some advice, given he's got a myriad of experience in this pool. So without further ado, welcoming back our good friend to the show, Joe from the Bridge. Joe, how's it going this Thursday evening for you?
Oh, it's awesome. It's great to be back. The weather's getting warmer. Daylight savings is still light at 7. The Habs still suck. But I will say to Kyle, I've been through the interview process last year. Me and Nick both have. Trust me, and this roller coaster, it's like for me, it was like an hourly thing. It was like up, down, up, down. It's like an EKG. It basically mirrors me when I'm watching the Leafs play. So right. I know how it feels. Right. But you just gotta like put it out of your mind, and beer always helps. That's my solution. Beer always helps.
I'll tell you what, I had to go on a 9K walk just to stabilize today. It was a 9K
walk.
Yeah, because I was sitting at home, not much to do at the time, just overthinking like fuck. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of the house right now.
Yeah, you got to just keep walking, and it's yeah. Well,
it's out of my hands now, right?
Exactly. Now we can talk some hockey and, forget about it for a couple of hours. And
exactly.
You can listen to the soothing sounds of Nick's voice.
Right. Actually, I got a question for you guys. You know what's the most underrated beer probably of all time? And Andrew Bell might know this. Nick, do you have any guesses
Sleeman.
Here? It is Sleeman.
Sleeman, which one? Honey Brown or the Honey Brown or the original?
Just the original.
Just the original, eh?
I'll tell you what it is. Not only is it smooth, but it's what I like to call crispy, which I describe as it tastes cold even though it's warm.
Interesting.
Like even when it's warm, it tastes like a fresh, crispy, cold beer. It's a crazy sensation. I can't find it with any other beer. It's amazing.
Even even MGD. That to me has a similar effect.
Okay, I had not much experience there. How about that?
Oh, that's a good one. But
I don't know. MGD to me, if it gets cold, if it gets warm, like it starts to taste.
It's a
like
no,
gas.
eh? Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll give Sleeman. Here's the thing I'll give Sleeman. I'm a big fan of the no label, just glass bottle. Like I like the bottles.
Classic
it's just
look.
glass with a leaf, and I like that a lot.
Classy.
You know what beer I've been getting into lately simply because of the bottle design. You ever see the red stripe, the Jamaican beer?
Yes, sir.
Like the little
Yes,
stubbies?
sir. Oh, we got stories.
Some of my favorite. Those are some of my favorite.
So
like,
we got
it's
stories
great.
about this. So in first year university in res, I bought a 2-4 of those because I wanted to be the cool guy on the floor walking around with these stubble bottles. And Kyle was so enamored by the design. And then he took a sip and he spat it out immediately and said, Nick, this tastes like cough medicine. That's what he said.
Oh no.
It's the first time I had ever seen one was when Nick had it in res because he wanted to try it out.
I've been drinking Labatt like 50 recently just to go like a little bit grittier.
Mm-hmm.
And like I gotta tell, it's not Labatt, like even like grittier, like Labatt 50. Like this is like what like old Canadian men who hate like hockey analytics drink. I'm positive.
Yeah.
And like it's actually been a revelation for me. It's a pretty decent beer. I'll take it, and I look badass drinking it, right? Because no one drinks Labatt 50.
Now,
so
50 as in what? 50 calories or what's going on?
I have no idea. It's just called Labatt. It's like
I think that's the point. Yeah, I think the point is it's the 50 cals. But regardless, we were speaking of beer, and this is kind of a mini topic before we jump into the lead.
Yes.
Joe and I were pounding a few back at this German restaurant in Kingston a couple weeks ago. And one of our friends, I don't know, like, I won't name him because like he probably doesn't want his name associated with this, but he just came. He really came in like in a bad mood, and I don't know where he got this attitude from. But the first thing he goes off about, Kyle, at this, and I think you'll lend some advice here because you of all of us you're the most knowledgeable about Canada and Canadian icons, and this guy would not shut up about
it was annoying
about Walter Gretzky, and he was pounding his hand on the table and sucking his beer back, making the kids scared at the table next door.
Wow.
Going, why the fuck are we talking about the death of Walter Gretzky? And he would not shut up about this. So
I was appalled.
Without further ado, Kyle, can you please set the audience straight? Who was Walter Gretzky?
Well, you know what? For the longest time,
it was appalling. It was appalling listening to that.
Well, yeah.
First of all, you saw me that night, Nick. I didn't want to get into any.
No comment. No comment.
I was trying to keep it, kosher. I was like, I'm out with my friends. I'm just trying to have a beer and eat some fine German cuisine. And this guy goes on about like Walter Gretzky, like why do we care? And like I'm sure Kyle will elaborate, but like I was very frustrated. I was very close to like going over and just start shaking him by the collar and being like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's annoying as fuck for someone to be so outwardly vocal on such a topic. Just out of place.
It was the evening of.
Well, which
didn't even give him a time.
Just a dick move.
Like huge dick move.
First thing I'll say, Nick, I know you know Jimmy T, my old coach and or mentor.
Yes, we are still yet to have him on the show.
We're yet to have him on the show, but he was on First Up on TSN 1050 the morning after the Walter Gretzky news to give his take on the whole situation. He knew Walter, and he knew obviously that he was pretty close to the Gretzky family, and everyone's been sharing all those stories and all that. But without kind of hiding or shrouding this, I didn't really know much about Walter until this news happened. I'm not going to lie to you. I always knew who he was. I knew he was Gretzky's dad and everyone loved him, but, I never ran into him. I never knew anyone who ran into him. And I think it might have been before our time, if I'm going to be honest. Those who really, really respect and know this guy, love this guy. Like we're talking maybe 5 years, we've missed it kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like our generation may have just missed the grasping the importance of who this man was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because before this happened, no stories from me. I just knew about him,
Yeah. So same for me. And then I heard things afterwards. Like a lot of the things I heard was how he was very charitable. Apparently raised a lot of money for charity. I think he received the Order of Canada for his efforts. Apparently he'd always greet people after Leaf games. He'd stay till 3 hours after games. This old man would shake the hands of kids till midnight. And his house was always open. Apparently he had this open house. If you went to their hometown in Brantford or wherever, he had this. We could have just gone there and he would have let us into his house and we could have looked at like Wayne Gretzky, like, memorabilia. Apparently it was just an open house. So hearing stuff like that's interesting. But to your point, I didn't know much about him either. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main points of contention I had with our mutual friend at the table was that all he said was, "Oh, well, he's only famous for being, Wayne Gretzky's father," but like he did so much more than that for the game of hockey. And also, like, it's very rare, like according to like people in the media and people who knew him, to find someone so genuinely passionate and an ambassador for the game that Walter Gretzky was. I remember, like my dad gets the odd Leaf tickets from time to time. And, I remember the seats are close to glass. And I remember a couple of games actually like seeing Walter Gretzky like around, and like everyone would just give him a standing ovation. He would always shake hands and like, he was just like, I mean, like even some of the stories of like Poulin and Dreger and James Duthie were saying on the air the night that he passed away, because it was during the Leaf game, was really heartwarming. So like, I think he's way more important than just being Wayne Gretzky's father. And, rest in peace to a great man and a good, an ambassador for the sport of hockey. Right. Proud Canadian.
I think, yeah, for sure. I think what makes his legend sparkle so much is that he was your prototypical hockey dad, as everyone would say. Blue collar guy, rink in the backyard, giving his son all the chances, all the opportunities you can get. He was a coach for his son. Like, this is just your typical hockey dad story that so many people can relate to. That's the thing. People related to him. And I think that's what drew so many people to his story and why it was so endearing. And again, I think our generation may have missed that, but I mean, you can't deny the charitable stories and just the hockey guy, the rink guy aspect to him was just really cool to hear the stories. Yeah,
just an incredible guy. And like they were like almost tearing up on TSN when they heard the news. So obviously he impacted a lot of people throughout the game of hockey. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the enigma of it all.
Go ahead.
Oh, go on, Nick.
Well, just to your point, that the whole hockey dad thing, as Gord Miller said the following day, and we'll get into Gord later on for other reasons, but as he said, he wasn't just Wayne's dad; he was all of our dads. You could say that's too cheeky or whatever, but hey,
that was that's a line and a half. But
that's my dad out there. Jesus Christ,
that's my dad who's never laced up a pair of skates in his life out there.
You know what the enigma is too? Like, can you guys name a dad more famous in any sport who's been so involved and in the spotlight in any sport?
Tiger Woods, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
okay. There's a case
maybe
there.
What's his name? And not for the right reason. Who's that? LeVar Ball, maybe.
Okay.
Like,
right.
But not for like he's just a clown.
But he's always in the news.
Involved.
Like he's in the news more than anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's just like I try to picture, like, after watching the Michael Jordan documentary.
Maybe Paul Marner during the negotiations.
Sure, I was about to say that. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Not for the right reasons, but he was involved.
Like, I just try to picture like the Michael Jordan thing. Like, if Jordan was ever off his game, could you imagine he had to bring his dad in to fix him up, Like, his dad would just walk in. That'd be such a funny, interesting little wrinkle to that story. And that's what it was for hockey here with us. So
yeah, he was. I mean, like I said, great Canadian, and I think our mutual friend should put some more respect on the name of Walter Gretzky.
Yeah, if he's listening, I hope he learned a little something in these last few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and the worst part about it was it didn't even stop at the dinner table. It was like during the Leaf game. I was trying to sit there and watch the Leaf game, and they got this guy yakking in my ear about why do we care? And I'm just like, oh my god, like
You'll meet this man one day, Kyle, and like between us, I'll whisper in your ear, "That's the guy."
Yeah, we'll point him out to you.
And then I'll go 2 shades colder, and I'll just spend the rest of the night just being a dick. Maybe not, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So as tradition dictates here, the lead topic, given our guest this week, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about the past week, or the past 2 weeks, given it's been quite eventful. The last 2 weeks in Leafland. The Leafs started off by losing for the first time in the Sheldon Keefe era 3 games in regulation in a row. 2 against Vancouver, 1 against Winnipeg. They then went on to beat Winnipeg, but then lose a couple to Winnipeg and Ottawa. So they've now lost 5 of 6. It's unprecedented for us Leaf fans in the Keefe era. So I want to open the floor to the man who bet me before the week. He said, Nick, if Winnipeg wins wins this series in these 3 games, I'll give you $100. And I should have took the deal. But I will mention I did make some money off the Leafs. That first Tuesday game, I put $44 down, won $90. So very happy about that one.
Wow. Yeah, let me just say, like, I feel bad for converting you to a gambler.
You should, you should, because
my effect rubbed off on you, and it's
and it hurts to bet against your team. But the odds were so good. So I was like, I'm riding this. So needless to say, I haven't been betting too much since that, but nonetheless, so, I mean, we got a lot of things to get into here. I mean, we've got the deadline coming up. So in short, I guess my first question would just be, I mean, is that losing 5 of 6? Is that a super stat or meaningless number, as the Tim Insidians would say back in the day?
I'm going to say like a meaningless number. Like I watch the games, and I'll give Winnipeg the Saturday night game. I'll play the Leafs completely. And Sunday against Ottawa, that Leaf team looked exhausted and tired, and full credit to Ottawa, they beat them. I would have been more concerned if the 5 of 6 games that they lost all looked like the Saturday night against Winnipeg and the Sunday against Ottawa, but they did. Demko played out of his mind for the 2 games against the Leafs in Vancouver. Hellebuck stood on his head in the 2 games against 2 out of the 3 games against Winnipeg, and the Leafs stole one of those games. So no, I don't think it's that big of concern. I saw a tired hockey team at the end of that week. I saw a team that was making uncharacteristic defensive mistakes. I saw goals that went in both on Michael Hutchinson and Freddie Anderson that 90% of the time NHL goalies stop. The only real concern I have out of this is the play of Frederik Andersen. Although today, I don't know if you guys heard the news, but it seemed that he said he was playing through an injury, which kind of makes sense. So no, like, as a Leaf fan, I'm not too concerned about this recent stretch of play. I mean, they were goalied for like 3 out of the 5 games they played. And I think after this break, they're going to, have some time to heal, whether it's Austin Matthews getting his wrist fixed, Wayne Simmons is going to be coming back into the lineup, a good chance for the defense to rest, maybe get that face shield off Muzzin. And also, most importantly, perhaps Jack Campbell comes back and, he can start playing the back-to-back games and even give Anderson some more time off. So, normally I would be panicking, but like you said, this is very unprecedented in the Keefe era. They've had such a strong start to the season, and like, obviously no one expected them to continue playing at that pace. I still think they're going to win the North Division. Winnipeg, to me, like, they're a good team. They're good up front, but I just think what I saw in the first 2 games, their play in their own end is just like atrocious at times. So yeah, no, I like, my concern-o-meter is not very high. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's just my take from
what did they do differently in that 3rd game, holding the Maple Leafs to 18 shots against?
You're talking about the Saturday night game?
The Saturday night game, 18 shots against Laurent Brossoit.
They finally tightened up defensively, and full credit to them. But the body of work I've seen from Winnipeg all year, and this is not just against the Leafs, this is against a lot of teams. They can score, but I just feel like in their own end, they still need like that puck-moving defenseman to complement Josh Morrissey if they want to go anywhere in the playoffs. Because with that defense core, you're not going to go, like, it doesn't matter how good, like, Hellebuck can't play like that every night. Like, he's a great goalie, probably the best in the league, but I don't think you can sustain that over the entire playoff. series, you're going to need to improve on defense. But yeah, no, full credit to Winnipeg. Like I said, Saturday and Sunday, those losses, like those were the concerning losses because like even Ottawa, for example, like they played the Leafs very, very well that game. I hate to admit it, but like they got on them early. They didn't stop even after the Leafs got that Hyman goal back. They kept pressing. And yeah, no, like in Winnipeg on Saturday night too, they held the Leafs to 18 shots. Like what more do you want, right? And like that's a time where, you know, if you're not playing your best, you need Freddie to have a Hellebuck-like performance and start stopping some shots, right? And that was the most concerning thing for me, right? Because that game it was 2-1 at one point in that game, right? You know, Nylander made it 2-1. And then the barrage of Winnipeg goals started to happen. And you're like, okay, Freddie, like I would like maybe 1 or 2 saves, you know, to keep us in the game, right? And it's a little frustrating. But yeah, no, like I said, I still think the concernometer is low. And I expect to see a much different Leafs team this weekend in the back-to-back with the Daryl Sutter Flames.
I would agree with your broad thoughts. I don't think it's concerning. I still think they will finish first. With that said, I still think I learned some things that I probably wasn't as opinionated on before. Like I think that Dermott Bogosian pairing had a terrible 3 games against Winnipeg. And I think it really just pointed out glaring flaws on that bottom pair. And I do think that will have to be addressed at the deadline. If they don't address it, then I'll be a little disappointed. There was also the first time, you know me, I like seeing emotions on players and coaches. And it was the first time I've seen that Saturday night game when they took all those penalties in the third. It was the first time I've seen Keefe blow up. I've never seen him be cool, and I've always liked him for that. I've always liked his stoic attitude. It always makes me feel calm as a Leaf fan when I see he's calm. But when he started losing it on the refs and like chomping at him under his mask, it made me a little uncomfortable because I'm like, this omnipotent figure is starting to lose his cool a little, and it's not making me feel good. So
do you blame
like
him for that though? Like, did you see the call? Like,
they were not good calls. They were not good calls, but still, like, man, the die's been cast. Like, you're not going to convince him otherwise. Like, why are you doing this? So I didn't like that. And then, yeah, with Freddie, I mean, I think his save percentage now is flat 900, which was just, it's not going to cut it. Especially, it's only the regular season. We're not even into the playoffs, and that's usually where he struggles even more. So, I'm a little concerned, and I hope when Campbell comes, he pushes Freddie, and I hope they go to a timeshare. To be honest, because like I agree. I think you can make a case Campbell is a better goaltender, and if Jack Campbell has to be the guy in the playoffs, then he'll be the guy in the playoffs. Like I don't care how much he makes compared to Freddie. Like I don't care about the salaries. He's outplayed him in every capacity. If he hadn't got injured, I'm convinced there'd be a timeshare right now.
I agree. And like, this is like, I see on Zoom, like both me and Kyle nodding our heads exactly at the same time to what you're saying. I don't give a shit how much Anderson makes. In fact, like to me, I think the way he's playing himself out of a contract. It's just a contract year for him. Yeah, I don't give a shit how much Freddie makes. This is a meritocracy. If you're not playing well enough, I don't care what your contract is, you're going to sit. And the Leafs need to have playoff success this year. I'm saying this right now, like, this team can win the rest of like every single game in the regular season, and I'll be happy about that. But all I care about is playoff success. And if that means sitting your $5 million goaltender for a backup that makes whatever the hell he makes, I don't care. And you know what? Also, like, I just think that Freddie always, like, even this year, like when he has a bit of competition, I think he steps up his game. And also just even for like the rest factor, like he's obviously playing through some sort of discomfort. And like, let's be real, you can't trust Michael Hutchinson for more than like 3 or 4 starts. He's just not like a good goalie. I don't know if there's any Michael Hutchinson fans out there, but I'm sorry, he's not a good NHL goalie. I think when Campbell comes back, it's going to be important for him, not only for Freddie's rest, but also maybe for the success of the team. Because hey, what happens if you give him a stretch of games and you're like, oh wow, like this guy could be a starter next year. Maybe I don't have to go out and, you know, pay Anderson X amount of money because we have one already here for like $2.5-3 million, right? So these next couple of games when he gets healthy is important, not only for this year and the playoffs, but also going forward for the negotiations, because they have the Hyman negotiation coming up, Riley negotiation, and if they would like to keep Anderson. I think, like, my hot take is that he probably won't be back next year. I think he's actually going to go to the Edmonton Oilers. That's my hot take. Wow. That's my hot take because they've looked for a goalie forever, and I think he would take a contract to go play in Edmonton. But yeah, no, like that. Those are just my thoughts. And like, I completely agree with what you're saying, Nick. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Before I turn it to Kyle, to me, Jack Campbell, he screams. He can be a big when the lights are on, I think he shows up, because I saw in the World Juniors, like way back in 2010 or 2009, when he was the US goalie in the World Juniors, the guy just shined on the stage. And I think he has a big game mentality that Freddie lacks. And I want them to at least test that, So that's what I'm hoping.
You know what, you always talk about character, Nick. What showed me who Jack Campbell was this year when he was playing against Calgary, and he said he hurt his leg and there's 30 seconds left. Leafs are up by a goal, I think. He's like, I'm not going to come out and make my goalie come in like flat. He's like, I'm going to go out there and play for my team. That's the kind of guy you want in the playoffs. When you're playing in a tight game against Boston or someone in the divisional round, and it's an elimination game, the whole team's playing tired and you need a big save. Like, I feel that Campbell can be that guy. Also, like, the Leaf players love him. Like, do you remember that shootout he got? The shutout he got against, was it against? Who did he get? Was it Edmonton? He got the shutout against.
I can't remember.
I think it was Edmonton. The players mobbed him when he got the shutout. They love him. He's just a genuinely like nice guy. Like, I feel like if you rob him, he would like thank you for like not taking too much. He's like Ned Flanders. He reminds me like Ned Flanders. Which is great to have on the team, especially a team of young guys, right? So I completely agree with you.
Yeah. No, you see it in his body language. Every time he makes a save in front of his defenseman, he's always tapping them on the back with his stick, like saying, thanks for blocking that guy or taking that guy out, not screening me. He's just...
if Campbell starts one...
Yeah.
I'm making this promise on the show. If Campbell starts at least one playoff game, I will buy a Jack Campbell Maple Leafs home uniform. $200 Adidas. I will buy it. If he starts
this is on record.
At all, this is on record. I will buy it, and I will... I don't care. It'll go up on my wall. I bought a Jonas Gustafsson jersey before, so this can't be that much worse, right?
My goodness me.
Okay,
yeah. First of all, Michael Hutchinson should never see an NHL net again in his career. Like, this guy is such a clown. It's unbelievable. Colorado last year, he was a clown. I can't believe he's ever gotten a job in his life. Second of all, I think we're all on the same page with Freddie being mistrusted by us and most of the fan base at this point. My question to you guys now is two things. How I like Jack Campbell. I think he's a great guy. I think the net he's had so far this season, he's looked good last season as well. How come he hasn't figured it out yet in his career to maybe push for a number one spot, A, and B, if that doesn't work, if you can't fully trust, okay, looks like Jack Campbell's the guy for the playoffs, where do you look in terms of a trade? Is this an option for you in terms of a last minute trade at the deadline? I mean, Dubas already said he's willing to move a top guy. If I'm the Leafs and if there's a top guy out there, like a goalie that I can trust, I know it's not a hot market for it right now, but I mean, that would put me at ease in a big way. Maybe one of the Arizona guys would tickle my fancy. But what do you guys think on that?
From what I know, Dubas has been, he was pretty vocal on Monday when he had his kind of State of the Union address, saying if they're shopping for anything, it won't be a goalie. He seems confident in the tandem, so I think you can shut any of those dreams down. And then what was your other question?
How come, like, we all like Jack Campbell?
Oh, why is he not a starter? Yeah.
Why
injuries is one thing. He's always played well.
He's like
but
30.
He gets
he's
injured.
like 30 years old now.
Yeah, he always gets injured. Like, so he can never have a long stretch where he takes over a starter. He was stacked away in LA for a while when Jonathan Quick was still in his prime, so that was a tough guy to leap over. And then ever since going to the Leafs, it's been as simply he doesn't make as much as Freddie, and hence he's not going to get the playing time. They've just allocated starts and they've correlated it with salary, unfortunately, instead of merit and who's playing well. So I think he's just been a victim of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you, like, to your first point, Kyle, I think he would be playing more this year, like, if it wasn't for the injury, especially in a condensed season. I think there would almost be like a 50-50 timeshare if he was completely healthy. I'm fully serious. I think in a 56 game season, you want to rest your starter, which is still Anderson until proven otherwise, like right now. I think he's just been crippled with injuries, and that's why it's so important for the Leafs. And this just not only goes to the goalies, but the whole team. The Leafs are going to make the playoffs, and they're probably going to finish 1 or 2. The goal for the rest of the season is to hone in the defensive game and play like they played against Edmonton and stay healthy. You can't have these nagging injuries going into the playoffs because you're going to get injured in the playoffs. If you're going to get injured, make it like in the second or third round.
Mhm.
Don't go into the playoffs with your backup goalie hobbled, your starting goalie with a lower body injury, and your superstar in Austin Matthews with a bum wrist. So the goal is to play healthy. But yeah, listen. If Dubas could work out a goalie for trade for one of the Arizona guys, I would. I had I was playing around on Cat Friendly the other night. I was like, what if the Leafs were to like get rid of Freddie and like a first round pick or something like that to Vegas, like go after like Fleury or Leonard or one of those guys,
God.
like that. Like
That'd
I
be
don't care
sick.
I don't give a shit how old Fleury is. Like if this is like an all-in year, because I think the Leafs this year are finally deep enough to go on a run. The only thing that concerns me is the fucking goaltending. So if you
I agree
and
completely.
and who cares about the first round pick? What's it going to be, 25th?
No, and it's a shit draft. It's a shit draft.
And no one knows what's going on. Ottawa's going to win the draft lottery this year and draft someone they've never seen play in 2 years. And he's still gonna suck. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Get rid of it if you have to. Like, a guy like Fleury in Toronto, fuck the 14-day quarantine, give him as much rest as he can. Like, that's someone to me in the playoffs where I'm like, I with this, the way they're playing defensively and something like that, and then I'm like, yeah, go for it. Like, I would even almost want that over, like, an Ekholm. Like, I that would be, to me, it's like, I don't give a shit how old he is. He might be over here for 1 year. Fuck it. Go all in, and if you win a cup, no one asks questions.
Yeah, go on.
Why is Dubas rumored to be going after a forward? Can someone riddle me that? I don't understand.
I don't know if anyone knows what Dubas is doing, because Dubas's like track record is like, he gives the media certain pieces, but like he never gives them a full story. Like, look, for example, the Muzzin trade that came out of nowhere. That was like I remember that distinctly. I was sitting there like on my couch doing contracts readings in 1L, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I get like this notification: the Leafs have just traded for Jake Muzzin of the LA Kings. There was no rumors, nothing. It just came out of the blue. And there's so many conflicting reports. Like Chris Johnson said the Leafs are out on Ekholm. Friedman said they were in on Ekholm. Dubas says they might be going to a forward. I think he's just good at playing it very close to the vest, and that's why right now I have like my Leafs PR, the account on notifications, tweets on, because he could drop a trade during this show. Like, we don't know, right? So I think he spreads a lot of misinformation, right? Now, like, would I care if the Leafs got like a top 6 forward? It depends who it is, right? But like, for me, it's like, if you're going to go all in, like don't go for like Granlund. That doesn't move the needle. You know who moves the needle? Guys like Philip Forsberg or even like a Taylor Hall, like that moves the needle. That's a little bit off topic because of Freddie. Just like, I'm just making the point. Like, I think he spreads a lot of misinformation, which I kind of like about him. He's very coy.
Well, we're discussing what they might acquire, but if you want to take it a little further, I want to know what they might be willing to give up, because it sounds like he's saying Sandin, Amirov, and Robertson are all on the block if necessary. And Kyle can weigh in here if he wants to, because he's the native draft expert, or the prospect expert. So of those 3 guys, Joe, who do you think could you see being traded, and who, if any, is untouchable?
Sandin is not going to get traded.
He's untouchable.
He's untouchable.
Oh, wow.
They're not going to trade him. That would screw up the future. They believe in this guy. The organization believes in him. He's going to be on the blue line. He could be on the blue line now if it wasn't for his injuries. He could be playing in Dermott's role. So no, Sandin's untouchable. The 2 guys that are most likely to get moved in terms of, I think it's going to be Robertson first and Amirov. Those are the 2 top tier prospects, and those are the guys that are going to be moved. I think if I'm the Leafs, I would not, unless you're getting something like really, really good back. Sandin to me is untouchable. He's the future of your decor, or going to be one of the futures. And I think, like, you know, getting rid of him could cripple the organization for years to come. But you can afford. I love Nick Robertson. I think he's a great player. I think this Amirov kid is going to be good. But again, like, if you can get me like an Ekholm or a goalie, or, you know, someone that moves the needle on the forward side, I'd be happy to part with him. So I think it's Sandin's untouchable. Robertson and Amirov are the 2 likely prospects. And we didn't mention Timothy Liljegren. He could be one of those in the Amirov Robertson category being moved, because they just value Sandin too much. Like, I've seen it from scouts in the organization on Twitter, and from what I've heard from guys like Chris Johnson, say like Sandin is like a building block for this team, and you just don't give up young defensemen who are in, like, I would say I think Romanov is better, but Sandin is very, very close to Romanov in terms of like how the organization values him. And like, you know, you just don't trade those young defensemen, and defensemen take longer to develop, right? So I would not want to move him.
Unless you're getting a Jonathan Drouin back, of course.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
No, yeah, you know what? I'll be honest. If I'm looking at the Leafs position right now, and I'm looking at the window that is open right now, and I'm seeing, okay, you're going to have to go through a bunch of North Division teams, and then you've got a crack at an Eastern Conference final. to me, though Sandin is the highest value pick, I would say no one's untouchable if I'm Dubas. If the deal is right, and it's like, I know it'll sting bad, but if this is a piece like an Ekholm, it's so like, this is a chance, man. Like, this could be a big opportunity, especially, I don't know what Ekholm's contract is like, but if you can get at least 2 years out of the guy, then,
he has
I
term.
think that's big. I think that's very, very big.
And obviously, the more pieces you put in the draft, the more salary you're going to get Nashville to retain, right? And that's the goal, right?
Sure.
Although, what was the cost for Muzzin? It was what? Grunstrom, Sean Dursey, and I think a first round pick. Like that, like I think Ekholm is that, right? You know, like you're looking at what, like Amarov, Kerfoot, and maybe like a first round pick or something like that, right? Like I don't.
Although I think Amarov has a lot of weight to him, you know, like
I think
he's got
good.
a lot of value to him.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you could do Amarov in a first, and you could get a lot for that, you know.
Yeah.
That pulls a lot of weight.
And if you get an Ekholm, I mean, you look at your blue line, it's now what, Riley, Brody, Muzzin, Ekholm, who might be like that could arguably be one of the best shutdown pairings in the National Hockey League if you get that. And then what, you have Justin Hall and Bogosian playing on what a competent, 3-4 defense, and that's incredible, right? You know, like your 5-6 is Justin Hall, like that. Yeah, it's not bad, right? You know, so
right. It becomes difficult to poke holes, except for and then you're only the only thing is that, right? I mean,
and that's the X factor, right? That's what it's all going to come down to. It's going to be whether or not the Leafs are playing much better defensively this year. And in the games they have lost, it usually has not been because of their odd man rushes like it did last year. It's usually because Freddie gives up one or two stinkers and the team, they lose the game. And one of the concerns they had in the Athletic was the penalty kill. But Jonas Siegel qualified by saying that, well, who's supposed to be the best penalty killer? The goalie. When the Leafs penalty kill was on its game early on in the season, Freddie and Campbell were playing lights out, right? So, these are like, remember last year, if you remember when we came to your house, Kyle, and did the post-mortem after the Columbus series.
Yeah.
I was saying how like Freddie Anderson might be a concern, and Nick was like, no, he's a little bit lower on the list, but that concern has made a huge
ratchet it up,
right? And it's and here we are a year later now, still. Like my take is, if you're questioning whether or not this guy can actually win you a playoff series, like maybe it's time to move on or go to the backup goalie, right? Like at this point, like again, like if you're gonna say Robertson in a first round pick for Fleury, I'll do it. Like I know that seems like very short sighted, but as a Leaf fan, like could you imagine Marc-Andre Fleury playing behind this defense core, and like he wants to chase a cup too.
I'd buy that
like
jersey.
that
I'm just gonna simmer you. I'm just gonna simmer you. I'm just gonna stop you right there and tell you my sources, feet on the ground in Vegas right now, are telling me that as of right now, Marc-Andre Fleury is untouchable.
It is going
from overnight. He's gone from getting traded imminently to untouchable.
You know where he's going, Nick? He's going back to Pittsburgh at the end of the day.
He's untouchable. They've realized, management has realized how indispensable that guy is these last couple months. I swear to God. This is everything I'm reading.
Do you remember when I went to bat for him on Twitter last playoff, and I got shit on for picking on Robin Leonard?
Well, we'll get into it. Leonard's in the news a couple days ago, so we'll get into it with him.
You really can't say anything, man. You cannot say anything. I was like, I don't know. Maybe we should look at this Fleury guy. Like, no, you're an idiot. You just hate Leonard because he has mental health issues. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Moving on, if we may, from the Leafs. One last thing I'll mention is after their loss on Sunday. I don't know if you got a chance to see this snippet, Kyle, but they interviewed a guy on Ottawa by the name of Joey Decord.
Yeah, his first win.
This guy, I don't say this lightly, I think he has Ricky DiPietro character upside. That interview he gave was something else.
Let's hope he doesn't play
else.
Yeah, And for all you young kids out there, if you want to get your first career win, always play against the Leafs because you know it's going to happen. Yeah. I was like, when Matt Murray left that game and Joey Decord came in, I'm like, this is going to be like a Sens victory at some point, because that's what the Leafs do. They love giving people their first opportunity, whether it's a Zamboni driver or the first fucking, the first win for some guy named Joey Decord.
Yeah.
That's what they like to do. Trust me, I got chirped about that game a lot. I got a lot of good friends up here that are Sens fans. To be honest with you, I didn't know very many existed, but I know like 3 of them that are really close friends up here. And
Sickos.
God, did I get sickos? I had to leave my goddamn group chat. It was hell. I had to block numbers for 2 days. It was hell.
Wow. And you know what? You know what ammo you have on them? Now Matt Murray's out and Joey Decord is now injured. So they're fucked.
Yeah, well, they're gonna start calling up Nick Costu is gonna be starting.
I'll make the drive. We're not even 2 hours away. I'll make the drive. I'll suit up. But
you're gonna win against the Leafs.
Yeah, well, I just love how candidly that guy spoke. And Kyle, here's another character point. Guess where he went to school?
Oh boy. I don't know.
He played in college.
Boston University.
Arizona State University. What a guy.
Doesn't move the needle for me, man. What are you talking about?
What a guy.
Why is that notable?
That's character. For a guy in the Northeast, in the Northeast to go, you know what? I'm going to play for Arizona. Yeah, that's character. That's thinking outside the box.
You have the worst character ranking system I have ever seen.
You watch the interview. You tell me this man doesn't have character.
Oh yeah, but not because he went to Arizona State. I heard that I heard that's like the easiest school to get into in like the U.S. like undergrad wise. Like
he just wanted to get the ladies, man. He's not a character
basically.
guy.
Hey, listen,
Arizona.
I'm just saying he's a smart guy. I like the way he thinks. That's all I'm saying.
You know why, Nick? Because he wasn't brainwashed. He wasn't brainwashed from a young age to be interview trained. So he's actually a human being instead of these robots.
Okay.
That's why you like him, because he's normal.
Yes. Moving on to another Canadian team of interest. And I was so close to sending Kyle a clip of me ranting about this topic because it happened the day after our last show. So it's been out there a while. But
what could this be?
A coaching change in the Canadian division.
Oh,
we had the Calgary Flames go back and hire an OG coach by the name of Daryl Sutter. For those like Kyle who may not be aware of this man, the resume is impressive. Most recently coached the Kings from 2011 to 2017 and presided over their Stanley Cup championships in 2012 and 2014. In all, he has been an NHL head coach for 18 seasons, having previously worked in Chicago, San Jose, as well as Calgary and LA. In 15 of those 18 seasons, his teams have finished with a winning regular season record.
Wow.
I was enamored when I heard this news. I thought he was out of the game. He's kind of a mystery. Like ever since he got fired from LA, he moved up to his farm in Viking, Alberta. Who knows where the fuck Viking is? And this guy, he just went away and no one heard from him. I thought he was done. And Kyle, you got to have respect for this guy. He's won 2 cups for the Kings, and he could be in his mansion, his beach house in LA, but he spends the last 4 years in Viking, Alberta. Like, you got to love that.
It's amazing.
It is. That sounds like you.
It's the only storyline I latched onto when I heard, because I don't care about his coaching resume. I could give a fuck where he played, where he coached. The fact that he was tucked away and somewhere in, central Alberta is all I care about. And they had to pluck him off the farm. They had to wrestle him off the farm.
They
as
did.
He was milking his cattle. Like, we need you, man. Not today, boys. I'm still milking the cattle. Like this is a great story. Calgary is going to get nowhere for it.
What?
It's a great story.
I put him in the pedestal. He is in the Jacques Lemaire, Ken Hitchcock pedestal for me. And I think he had a great first 3 games. They won each of their games. They only let 1 goal in the first 2. They let 2 in the third one, and then last night I think was an anomaly. I think it was a write-off, and I loved his comments after the game. He said, "This team in this division, we don't have the skill to compete with these teams. The Torontos, the Winnipegs, the Edmontons. We don't have the skill. We have to check and play defense every night, and if we do that, we will be fine." And I loved hearing that from him.
They don't have the personnel. They don't have the personnel for
well,
that.
I think if he's suited,
who's jumping in on the forecheck? Johnny
so
Gaudreau and
Daryl
Monahan,
Sutter. Daryl Sutter teams are so structured that all you need is a goalie that will make serviceable saves, that will be serviceable and make the saves he needs to make. So I think the most important player is Jacob Markstrom, and I think he's good enough to serve that role. He will make the saves you need him to make. Yesterday he was tired. He had played the first 4 games under Sutter right off. But I think he's good. If I were in fantasy, if I were you guys who need goalies, I'd be trading for him because this guy's going to put up elite splits the rest of the way. And I think he's super talented. I think it's a Daryl Sutter like defense, heavy guys like Giordano and Anderson, very heavy guys on the back end. Forbert, or he's on Winnipeg.
Tanev.
Tanev, exactly. Like it's just a very suited Daryl Sutter team. I think if he's ready to jump into any of these teams, it's Calgary. And I'm a believer. I think they will make the playoffs, and I'll bet with any one of you that they will.
Nick, they stink. I'll take that action.
Okay,
come on, man.
They're not a good. Come on, sucks. Man. They suck.
I think they're a better bet than Edmonton to make the playoffs.
No way. Edmonton's gonna make the playoffs. Edmonton's a better team. I got
Calgary. I got Montreal. I got the Leafs, and I got Winnipeg. Edmonton's out. Vancouver's out.
Edmonton is not coming out.
They're coming out.
Edmonton is going to make
Nick,
they're coming out.
All this is done. All you've told me is the North Division, especially Calgary, has gotten more boring. That's all I've learned from this.
But boring is effective. Boring can be effective.
I know.
In 2014.
It's going to take longer for this season for them to become the New York Islanders. I don't think they have enough runway to do that, you know?
He's got too much pedigree. And he just knows how to get a grip of his team. You watch them play in these games, elite neutral zone play, elite structure, elite forechecking, keeping the puck in the zone. Their F3 is always high in the offensive zone. He's always making sure nothing happens. In the defensive zone, tight gaps, as we like to say in our intramural teams, Kyle. Tight gaps. It's a Nick team through and through, and those teams don't fail.
Yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to finish like in fifth and draft like 17th because they suck. No, I don't have any faith in the Calgary Flames. Like they're like, I know even before the trade deadline, before the coaching change, like they were playing just like a lifeless like brand of hockey. Like I just don't think they're like a good hockey team. Like even their back end, like Rasmus Anderson's not a heavy guy. Like
he's a heavy guy. He will fuck you up. You saw what he did to Matthews. He injured Matthews. He'll fuck you up.
Yeah, I'm not.
Rasmus Anderson's a dirty. He's a dirty bugger. He's a dirty bugger.
He sucks. But it'll be a combination of the Leafs, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Montreal in the playoffs. Calgary's not going to make it. They just aren't talented enough.
All right, how much we betting? How much we betting?
We'll discuss that after.
Okay.
We'll discuss the terms and conditions after.
Or do you want to wait till after Calgary throttles the Leafs this weekend?
I don't know if they're happening. I think the Leafs. I think maybe Calgary would one of those games because I still think they're I think they're playing better under Sutter. But I think this might be just every team gets sort of like a new coaching bump except for Montreal.
Yeah.
The coach bump except for Montreal. But every team usually gets like a coach bump, and I think this is what it is. I just don't see them being able to play that style of hockey in a division that is so skilled, especially for the rest of the way. Like they got to deal with Winnipeg, they got to deal with the Leafs, they got to deal with Edmonton. McDavid put up like 5 points on them last night. It's going to be tough. Like I don't doubt Calgary.
Okay, here's what I'll try. Here's how I'll try to convince. This won't convince Joe, but maybe this will convince Kyle. All of these coaches Calgary has had. Okay, first thing is we've always questioned the character of this Calgary team. They always bow out early in the playoffs. Their core lacks character. Giordano, he's got character.
Sucks.
But Gaudreau and Monahan and Lindholm, those guys I've never had faith in. They always bow out of the playoffs and they never hold themselves accountable. And it bothers me. And you look at their coaches recently. Bob Hartley, Glenn Gullickson, this guy Ward, Bill Peters. None of these guys have that hard Mike Babcock intensity to kick their guys in the rear end and to hold them accountable. This is the first
we
coach.
all want Mike Babcock intensity.
This is the first coach in this Jeff Treliving era that will hold them accountable and will kick them in the rear end and will bench those stars if they don't play well. I think this is the most important acquisition this Calgary Flames roster's made in the past decade. and I think it will put them over the hump. That is my closing argument.
I think you're paying way too much attention to pedigree. Like, this style of play worked in 2012 and 2014 because they had the personnel. This Calgary team does not have the personnel to play like this for 4 lines, and that they just do not.
I think you're underrating their defense. I think you're really underrating. I think
their defense is terrible.
Their defense is fantastic.
Terrible.
It's fantastic.
I love Mark Giordano. But other than that, I don't see anyone on that team.
Giordano, like Anderson, Tanev, and Hanifin is a very good top 4.
It's okay. There's like I'd still put Montreal's top 4 ahead of theirs. I'd still put the Leafs top 4 ahead of theirs. Brody's probably a better defenseman than everyone on that team except for Giordano. Like Weber's better than everyone on that blue line.
Anderson can be a top 2 defenseman on any team in the league.
No, he can't. He's
elite. He's elite. He's elite.
Then why are they not in the playoffs then?
Because the coach, because this Jeff Ward doesn't know how to coach, and as one of my guys on social media said, like, this guy, like, he's like, every press conference after the game, it looks like he's having a colonoscopy. He was just stressed out of his mind, and he couldn't hone in the team. You watch this Sutter guy after the games. He's sitting there. He's got his old man glasses on. He's got a notebook. He's basically ignoring the questions coming in, and he's scribbling in his notebook like after the game. I love this guy.
That hard-nosed style really worked well for Babcock in Toronto, so I'm sure it'll translate well for Daryl Sutter.
He's a different guy. He's a different guy
with a weaker team, and yeah.
Nick, what I'm worried about is like Joe kind of mentioned it, that his style may have worked in 2014, but not only is it a different group of players, it's a very different game than when he was last in here. And especially the North Division is such a different game.
And he's mentioned
like
that.
This is an offensively dominated division. And he wants to be the one defensive stalwart team.
Kyle, I don't think he takes the job and leaves his farm in Viking if he doesn't think he's got a shot here. And I think he studied. He's been studious. He's studied these teams, and I think he knows what he's gotten himself into. And I think he's gonna get him out of this. I don't think he takes the job if he doesn't think he's got a shot. He retired 2017. I was following him when he left my team. He said in a public statement, "I've retired. I'm not coming back." But he's come back, and I don't think he would have done it if he didn't have a shot. He'd make it.
It's intriguing, sure.
So just for your playoff thing, Nick. So the Edmonton Oilers are 93.6% according to Money Puck to make the playoffs. To make it.
To make it.
Yes.
Oh,
Calgary
Oilers.
right now.
Okay, yeah.
Calgary right now is 58% to make the playoffs.
Good.
Wow. That's surprising.
Montreal's at 85.1 and Toronto's at like 95. So, and Winnipeg's only 68.
Wow.
Or 63.5 according to Money Puck.
That's odd.
Yeah, very odd. But yeah, you're fighting an uphill battle here, and like Kyle said.
What do you mean? That's basically saying the consensus thinks they're going to make it.
Well, there's other teams that have higher percentages though, so they're the outlier.
Okay,
right?
But if you ask pundits, 58% of the pundits think they're going to make it.
Well, I don't know if it's the pundits. I think it's like they had to do like they look at their data.
I like those odds,
number,
and it's good betting odds. Like, it's basically a coin flip. So whenever you want to place that money, you let me know.
I will. And when they bow out of the playoff race because they can't score, and Rasmus Elite Anderson isn't that good because he's not.
Elite. I'll share an article with you on The Athletic. I read it and I had a man crush on the guy after reading it. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't keep Brody. Like, just God, this Treliving guy. Imagine him
that's
on that
another
team with Daryl
thing.
Sutter now.
He's had. If you look at GMs in the league, that guy's had a long leash. That guy's been there a while, and it has not been good. I think this is another we always talk about on the show. Last bullet in the chamber. I think this is a last bullet in the chamber kind of move.
Oh God!
It reminds me of Peter. It reminds me of Peter Chiarelli hiring Ken Hitchcock. Last bullet in the chamber. This is just like that.
Yeah, like there's a lot of GMs in the North Division that like have that. Like Bergevin too. This might be one of his last bullets in the chamber.
Hiring the goalie coach. That was the last bullet in the chamber.
Oh yeah, they Camilleri'd him.
And that was a great move, by the way. Price has been lights out since they got rid of that clown. of a goalie coach.
Yeah. And also, I feel bad. I can't pronounce his last name, but he does such great work for the Athletic. Dom,
Lushchishin, Ukrainian.
Yes,
He's a family friend of ours.
Yeah, great guy. His model he has the Leafs at 99% chance to make the playoffs, Winnipeg at 87, Montreal at 84, Edmonton at 79, and Calgary at 37%.
That makes more sense. Way more sense.
I don't know what Money Puck was doing, but those are the odds.
Money Puck doesn't get it. They don't get it.
No, they
don't watch the games. They just look at the stats.
Calgary has their highest percentage chance to finish at 37%, which is just outside of the playoffs, which is exactly where you want to finish in this league. Just outside of the playoffs. Not bad enough to be shit, but not good enough to make the playoffs.
Terrible.
Okay. From one coaching change, we move to another. The Buffalo Sabres did something rare in hockey world when they hired Ralph Kruger. They went outside the box. They skipped over the group of coaches who got hired in a never-ending circle, opting for fresh thinking from a worldly man. It started well in 2019. Players adored Kruger, calling him the best coach they ever had and an alpha male with the leadership skills to turn around the organization. They won his first game in Pittsburgh. They blew out New Jersey in his home opener, a game that harkened back to the good old days. Buffalo started a dominating 9-2-1, and it seemed like a new era had begun. That era is over. With the Sabres sinking to the tank-like levels, Buffalo fired Kruger on Wednesday. It was inevitable. There was listless play on the ice and increasing distractions off it. The Sabres and their coach had descended to laughingstock status. That's from The Athletic.
This guy, if there's any guy that you should be so enamored with, it's this Ralph Kruger guy. He's a fucking character, man. This guy was coaching soccer 3 years ago. He was in like the English league or something. He fucking wrote a book on motivation.
Southampton for the APL.
Yes. He wrote like a book in German on player motivation called Family Ties or something. And he's fucking garbage. He's just the worst coach you could ever imagine. And he's led Buffalo. He's led Buffalo to the worst, the most cursed they've been in the last decade. I can't think of a worse time for this franchise than right now, because now they actually have pieces. They've got pieces that are all underperforming. Eichel's injured for God knows how long. He's getting the injuries wrong on the reports. Everyone's got 2 goals or less. It's crazy, man. We went over this last episode, and it's getting worse. They're losing 4-1 as we speak. It's just, there's no end in sight.
Listen,
I don't know what happened here.
Guys, as a Leaf fan, like Toronto and Buffalo are rivals, and I used to relish in their pain, but it's gotten to the point where I feel like bad for them, like truly sad that they're playing this season, and the fans, if there still is any watching the games, have to sit through this. This guy Ralph Kruger is a clown. It's a circus over there. He is. Every time he trots himself out in front of the media, it's just like leading lambs to a slaughter. And the fact that it took them like 12 games, a 12-game losing streak. Who the fuck loses 12 games in the modern NHL to fire his ass? Like, what is that organization doing? It's like you guys had a generational talent in Jack Eichel, a generational defenseman, or one of them at least projected to be in Rasmus Dahlin, and they still fuck things up. They still fuck things up. And it's incredible from an outsider's perspective, being like, how the hell could it be? Like, this is probably the worst it's been, because at least in the tank years, there's okay, we're building to something. We're going to build to something and get out of this. Now it's like, we have the pieces, we tanked, and we still can't win. So there's got to be just you ever watch Entourage where Ari Gold goes through the old agency with a paintball gun and just starts picking off people? That's what's got to happen in Buffalo. There's got to be seismic change, because this is it's pathetic. The Buffalo News the other day, when they did the team rankings, they ranked the Seattle Kraken, who have not even played a game or drafted a player above the Buffalo Sabres. It's pitiful to watch. And I don't know if it's just the whole team didn't buy into whatever system that Ralph Kruger was playing, or maybe pieces like Skinner and Hall have had their best days behind them. But to waste a talent like Jack Eichel is like it's inexcusable. They should be ashamed of themselves, like ashamed. And like you see it as a Leaf fan, where it's like this is what could have happened in Toronto, and it didn't. But God, man, like this is like it's like you're running out of words every night to describe it. Like every night, it's another gong show, another just stepping on the ice and getting. Don't even try. Like I watched the games against Pittsburgh, and like I don't think Pittsburgh's particularly that good of a team, although they're playing very well. Like it's like no effort at all, just lifeless hockey out there. It's terrible. Like I don't know how to describe it anymore.
I'm conflicted with this team.
Oh, how can you be conflicted?
Yeah, where's the
No, I know. I'm conflicted, not with like, I know what they are. It's clearly evident what they are. I'm conflicted where I should stand on the issue, because as the listeners know, Kyle and I have always had a soft spot for the Sabres in the organization in the city. Like I've always had a soft. I like the fans. I like the blue collar fans who are paying to sit in the lower bowls. Like those tickets they sell. It's not like Toronto where it's all Bay Street owned. Like these are hardworking blue collar people paying to watch these games.
Yes.
Kyle and I talked to them at the Kelly's Corners of the worlds, and they're great people, very knowledgeable. And I always wish them the best. The best isn't coming to them, but I always wish them the best. But then I heard a take the other day, and I couldn't help but kind of agree with it and be like, you know what? Maybe this organization does deserve shit. And this came from our friend in Montreal, Mitch Gallo, Kyle. And he said, this all harkens back to the days of Buffalo tanking for McDavid. And that season where they traded a goalie away. They had like Michael Neuwirth, and he was getting shutouts, and they traded him away so they could tank more. And then when Brian Murray finally lost out on Eichel, you could see it in his face. He had a big tantrum. He came out all public, and he that right there showed as much as you needed to see about what this organization is, because no team in the modern era ever tanked, ever tried to lose to that extent. And what Gallo said was, if you're doing that in this day's modern NHL, you don't deserve any good to come to you. And after I heard him say that, I kind of nodded, and I'm like, you know what? I think they had this coming. So
that's an excellent
I think point. I've kind of changed my tune on Buffalo, to be honest.
And that's excellent point.
Just really quick. That's what set the curse. That is what set the curse.
Yeah. And that's an excellent point, Nick, because if you look at like a lot of the teams now that are like at the bottom of the league, like Ottawa, for example, they're going to finish bottom four, but they try every night. They beat a lot of teams. The Leafs, when they were tanking for Matthews with Babcock, as bad as their record was they competed on a night-to-night basis. Like they would lose games. Like they had no talent. They had like P. Parento and like Arcobello on the first line. It was awful, but they still competed. Even like Detroit and like these teams at the bottom of the league that are like bad teams, they still play hard. Like the Sabres is just like I don't know like how to describe it. Like it's just not. It's insane. And the Buffalo tank here, like they were actively just like throwing pieces away, and like I don't know. The curse probably started back then, but it's just like I agree with you. I feel for these fans because they're great people. They embrace. You're right. They embrace the blue collar, ness of Buffalo. We're New York, but we're not New York. We go to all the games. We hate our building getting overrun by Leaf fans that want a cheap ticket. And you just feel bad for them, right? And for the fans, not the organization. The organization themselves should be ashamed. Like they need to do like a come to Jesus moment and rebuild. Again.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, I don't know. Like, all I know is that this whole era since that tank, it's the one constant, because there's been so many different coaches, so many different players, so much turnover. The one constant is ownership, that Pagula family. And maybe they just don't know how to run a team. I think maybe they've had too many tries. Maybe they just don't know what they're doing. And as long as they stay there, I'm going to remain a skeptic.
Those damn Italians.
And you know what it is too? Like, how do they not have an assistant general manager?
What the hell is that?
They're like one of the only teams that doesn't have an assistant general manager. The only reason you took so long to fire Ralph Kruger is because you have like 3 or 4 coaches on the payroll because you've been firing them so much. They've gone through 5 coaches in 6 years. It's crazy.
Ralph Kruger, he's owned $3.75 million annually for the next 3 years. So he's basically joined the Babcock Club.
It's crazy. And then we talk about Eichel, but like it's scary to see Dahlin's best year was his rookie year. He has declined since his rookie year. It's so scary to see. And like you wonder, because there's pieces there. We've acknowledged this at the beginning of the season. There's pieces there, but there's something in the water, man. Everyone who goes to Buffalo underachieves, and then somehow if you move them out of Buffalo, something clicks. They just become a better player. Ryan O'Reilly is the perfect example of this happening. Like some shit is happening there that I cannot imagine. But I honestly, I will say this right now. I can't imagine Jack Eichel, a Buffalo Sabre, at the start of next year. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't.
Why would you stay? Like, what purpose would you stay? This guy is a generational talent. There's like he's among the best young centers in the game. You know, there's McDavid, there's Matthews, there's McKinnon, and there's this guy. You know, like you can't.
And he's
be
not
wasting...
close. He's not close to the playoffs. Not even close.
No, they didn't even sniff it. They missed out on the bubble year last year. They couldn't even get in the bubble. Montreal, who had a terrible season, got in the bubble. They couldn't even get in the bubble. Like, what does the league have to do to get the, you know, and like, it's insane because these like the fans also like are doing their part. Cause I heard that they're like, some of them aren't even like renewing their season ticket. They're not going to the games. They're not purchasing them. And the fans are allowed in the building, which is good. They have to revolt. See, Leaf fans would never do that. Leaf fans would show up to the game regardless. So good for the Sabres fans on doing that. But I will say that, like, I agree with you. Like, if I'm Jack Eichel and like, I'm telling my agent, like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I cannot waste another year of my prime playing for this dog shit organization. Like, I'm too good. And he deserves to go to a place like New York or LA where he's going to shine and be in a competent organization. Like, you feel bad for the guy. You know, you truly feel bad for him. Like, how does Dahlin regress that badly? Like, when he was in the World Juniors, he was mesmerizing to watch play. If you remember him on Sweden in the World Juniors, he was awesome.
You know what they said, Joe? The McDavid of defense is what they called him.
He was absolutely incredible. And for him to play on Buffalo and like decline every single year. And like, I don't know what they were thinking on hiring this Kruger character, like came from soccer. Like, who are they going to hire next? Like Lippi, the coach of the Italian national soccer. Like, what's going on here? Like, come on, man. Like, you know, like, yeah, what are you going to do? Scour Juventus and Serie A and look for another soccer coach? Like, this fucking organization it's pitiful. It's just a pitiful dump. Like, I feel so bad for the fans. Like, it's just like, I don't know what to say. It's frustrating. Like, you're watching,
it is.
Every night you check the score, it's like, 4-1, 4-1, 3-1, 4-1. Like, it's just like, you know, what's this going to be 13 games now?
It's going to be 13 games.
I
don't see them winning. I don't see them winning any other games.
I'm sorry if I'm being harsh here. I'm sorry if I'm being harsh here, but like, fuck, like, what do you say?
As we speak right now, Rasmus Dahlin is a minus 28.
Oh
my God. Oh my God.
And like
So
their power
sad.
play, the only bright spot about Buffalo, I think their power play is like third or fourth in the league or something like that. Like,
you know what though? Like, but they haven't been doing anything lately, man. Like in this 12-game losing streak, that the power plays dried up. Like they were scoring some power play goals early on. That's all they were doing. And you know what the funny thing is? The Buffalo fans are saying what we're saying. Like, they're not dumb. They're they're not dumb. They're as pissed as we are. Like, it's
not more. Yeah.
They're more pissed. Yes, of course.
The Buffalo sports writers, like some of those guys, like Mike Harrington or some of those guys, like if you read their tweets, like they're saying like this is a pitiful organization. Like if you look at like the replies to like the Buffalo Sabres Twitter account after a loss, it's just like what like you guys, it's just like you guys are pathetic. Fire everyone. You guys fucking suck. Like it's not even like it's not just us. Like you're right. The fans themselves feel that way. Like they don't even have anything positive to say. You know, at least if, for example, if you're like a Senators fan, you're like, okay, at least we're like winning sometimes, and you know we got young pieces, and you know Melnick might fuck it up in the future, but you know what? At least you know it looks competent on the ice right now. If you're Buffalo, like what do you have to like look forward to other than like I don't know, like other than like another like ownership change or another like GM change? Like what do you have to look forward to?
Yeah, the Sens are a blast. Now imagine this.
They are
now, and it's not just like. Imagine you're Taylor Hall and you're trying to bet you're trying to bet on yourself. Okay. You got like, let me have a show me year. I'm going to do a 1-year contract so I can try to build myself up. I had a kind of a shitty year. Colorado's on the table for you. You can take less money and go to Colorado, perhaps maybe flirt with a championship, or you can go to Buffalo, and do the Buffalo thing. Like, this guy's lost millions of dollars for his family's estate. It's gone. He's totally shot himself in the foot. It's gone. His career is just now spiraling, and he's up for trade for anybody who wants it. I'm telling you.
In the last game against New Jersey, there was a cut scene that showed Skinner in the box. There's I can't remember the player's name on New Jersey, but the guy from New Jersey, if you read his lips, he was like the Jeff Skinner. He's like, you're the most overpaid player in the league. You got like fucking 3 goals. And he was just chirping him from the penalty box. And rightly so, like Jeff Skinner, I said in first year, I don't know if Nick, you remember this, but I said in first year, that was a fucking shit contract because he's never going to score 40 goals again. And lo and behold, I was fucking right because he's shit.
Yeah.
And like, in addition to that, it's just like, how do you move some of these contracts? Like, who's taking that Skinner contract? No one.
Nobody.
One's taking that contract. Who the fuck is taking that money? No one. Like,
you're gonna have to retain massive dollars on that.
Oh yeah, they're like just so fucked. Like they're so fucked. I don't even know how fucked they are. Like that's how fucked they are.
And Kruger doesn't even bother to try to salvage the situation. He's scratching him.
Like, what are you doing?
He's on the fourth line. What's he gonna do? Like, why make an ass of your GM at the same time of being an ass of yourself?
Dude, Skinner's at $9 million until 2027. Oh my God, he's 11% of the cap. Also,
that's more than Pasternak.
Insane, Kyle.
That's more than Crosby.
Okposo is like $6 million up until 2023. Like, there's, oh my God, it's just bad. Like, and you know who I feel bad for the most? Poor Dylan Cousins, that beautiful man from the Yukon, has got to play in that putrid fucking organization and ruin him. That's a guy who I like. I think he's a great character guy. And the fact that they had to make him drop the gloves that time and fight the rookie fighting to try and spark on the team, like, hang your head in shame. Like, just go to the ECHL or the AHL, whatever will have you. Like, get out of here.
Agreed. The only thing that can save Buffalo now is Eichel for Lafreniere 1-for-1. That's it. That's the only saving grace here.
But I'll tell you what, I was listening to your last show, and you guys are talking about, would you rather go to the California teams or Buffalo? If I'm a superstar, I still would take Buffalo only because winning in Buffalo means so much more than winning in Anaheim or LA. No one gives a fuck if LA wins the cup, except for Nick. No one cares. No one cares if Anaheim wins the cup. No one cares if San Jose wins the cup. But they care if Buffalo wins the cup because Buffalo is a football and hockey city.
You are getting statues in gold.
Yeah.
I agree.
It is one, aside from maybe like New York and shit like that, like winning in Buffalo is one of the biggest American markets to win in. It is. Like, you would be a legend, right? Those guys consider Chris Drury and like Pominville playoff legends, and they didn't win anything. But like, Eichel could have been the guy if they managed the team right. He could have had a statue of him. He has the same opportunity Matthews has in Toronto, and he didn't do it. So.
It's so depressing.
Enough Buffalo bashing. I need to go on a lighter topic here. I'm getting depressed thinking about it.
Yeah,
I have one more question for you guys. Like, just to shut the Buffalo topic up. One more question. Can either of you tell me who John Eichel is? Who is John Eichel? Nick?
No idea.
John Robert Eichel. Who is this?
Is that Jack Eichel's real name?
Jack Eichel's real name is John. It's not even changed. It's just simply John. It's Johnny Eichel. It is a fact. It's the birth certificate. It's the yearbook. He's admitted it. Everyone just calls him Jack. It's not really Jack. I was blown away by this, and from now on,
vibes going on.
From now on, I'm only going to call him Johnny Eichel.
Johnny Eichel.
I could not believe that. I was like, "Fuck you, shitting!" Like, the only reason it came out, he was playing with a little kid. He was playing with a 5-year-old for a Tim Hortons commercial. He's like, you want to know a secret? My real name's John. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? So John Eichel is the man of the hour from now on. It's amazing.
We move to a lighter topic, as Joe requested. Last Wednesday afternoon, the Walt Disney Company, ESPN, and the National Hockey League announced a 7-year television streaming and media rights deal. The agreement will run from the beginning of the 2021-2022 season through the 2027-2028 season. The deal includes exclusive coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on ABC in 4 of the 7 years of the agreement, 25 exclusive national regular season games on ABC or ESPN, 75 national regular season games per season produced by ESPN that will stream exclusively on both ESPN Plus and Hulu, half of the Stanley Cup playoffs on ABC and ESPN each season, and much more. The deal, which includes traditional broadcast and streaming elements, will see ESPN ABC air 4 of 7 Stanley Cup finals over the course of the arrangement, will pay the NHL close to $420 million a season, according to multiple sources. The ESPN deal, also known as the A package, will be paired with a B package, with a yet-to-be-named network, likely bringing in close to $200 million in additional revenue. As for the so-called B package, which will include 3 of 7 NHL Cup games, NBC is interested in maintaining its partnership with the NHL. Meanwhile, Fox is making a hard push, according to a source. In total, the NHL is poised to net approximately $600 million to $620 million annually from its national TV package. Though that's a notable increase over the previous deal, it's not as lucrative as the $750 million that sources said Bettman was aiming in the pre-pandemic time. Lastly, the NBC still wants to be involved with the NHL. The network said as much Wednesday. Still, the network is at a crossroads in deciding how much it actually wants the NHL package, according to a source. NBC is big on the NFL and Sunday Night Football, while it's also heavily invested in the EPL. With its sports content moving to USA Network after NBC Sports Network is shuttered, there is a real possibility that NBC steps away from hockey. If NBC doesn't step away, it'll have competition from Fox, according to industry observers, who noted that the NHL leaving the rights open to the Stanley Cup Final every other year was a smart negotiation tactic for the league in securing A and B packages. CBS has also reportedly kicked some tires on the deal, but is considered more of a dark horse than NBC and Fox. Lots to take in there. Oh, and finally, for those who know, one of my favorite calls, the Paul Kariya goal in the Stanley Cup Final, called by Gary Thorne. As fans of certain age will remember, Thorne was ESPN's lead NHL voice from 92 to 2004, calling games on ESPN and ABC, including the postseason. He memorably teamed with analyst Bill Clement to call the Stanley Cup Finals from 93 to 04, including 2 years with John Davidson as a third broadcaster. He called some of sports' biggest moments, including Wayne Gretzky passing Gordie Howe's all-time goal mark in 94. There was also the end of hockey's most famous Stanley Cup drought, including the Rangers in 94 and the Red Wings 3 years later. So the big question, how interested Thorne will be? He says, I'd love to talk to them about it. Thorne said neither he nor his agent have reached out to ESPN yet, but have said he would love to hear the details. He said, quote, I'd love to talk with ESPN and see what direction they're going in, what the schedule is going to look like and all that. But from the primary foundational question of, is that something I'd be interested in? He said, yes. So yeah, sorry to go on that diatribe, fellas, but lots to get into there. So, I mean, what do you want to take a stab at first here? I love this news.
I'll take a first crack.
Go ahead.
I was listening to your speech there, and what I could take in most of all was the potential reunion of Pierre Maguire and Darren DeChisson on the set of TSN, when one man in particular's stick is long from time to time. And this is all I could take in was Pierre's getting fired from NBC. It's terrible. This is awful news. This couldn't be worse for the league. Like, revenue will be shot to the floor. This is awful, awful news. If NBC goes down because of ESPN, I'm out. I'm done with this sport.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like, I think that this is like good for the game of hockey. You know, like this is like, you know, I sent out a tweet when they announced the deal. I'm like, this is great for the game of hockey. Like, I want to see hockey on SportsCenter in the United States. I want to see like Stephen A. Smith joking around for hockey. Like, the NHL's biggest problem is that outside of like the North and like major cities, no one really gives a shit about hockey. But if it's on Sports Center every night, and if it's required to be contractually required to be on Sports Center every night, this can only do wonders for the game. The salary cap's going to go up. More kids in the United States are going to like hockey. And like I said, like I want like there to be shows on ESPN, like, you know, for example, like every football Sunday, they have like NFL Sunday Countdown. And some people like prefer even just like, you know, you get all your news from that. And like some people, they always watch it before the games. I want something like that with the NHL in the States, where there's like a panel of like knowledgeable hockey people. They sit there, they break down all the games, and they make it palatable for the majority of the American audience. So I think this is like a great thing for the NHL, like, and like for hockey as well. They have to grow the game, right? That's the problem with the NHL. They've never been able to grow the game outside of specific American markets. Like, I think it's great that ESPN does this. And like, I was looking at all the classic, like NHL on ESPN, like the song and shit. Like, it's going to be great. Like, it's going to be awesome. And like Stephen A. Smith, I don't know if you saw it, he sent out that tweet of him. He's like a top 5 countdown of like what he knows about hockey, which is nothing, but it's hilarious because Stephen A. Smith has like millions of Twitter followers. And you're like, oh shit, hockey's here. Like, maybe we'll pay attention. It's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hockey, like, say what you want, like, about the game itself. Like, it's a much, in my opinion, and I think, like, objectively speaking, it's like a better game to watch than like football, for example. Like, football is like, there's a lot, like, especially if you're not into football, like, it's relatively easy to understand the rules of hockey. Like, yeah, like, obviously when people see like goals called back, like, what is that? But like, if you didn't grow up watching football, to learn the rules of football, to like sit there and watch and be like, why are they stopping? Like, what's this flag? Like, what's the line on the field? Why is there like 4 different clocks? Hockey is a much more palatable sport to like teach people, right? Get on the ice, score more goals than the other team, right? It's not that difficult. So yeah, no, I think this is very good for the NHL. Like, I'm yeah.
For the record, I was kidding about it not being good.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. You were so
I was just doing a McGuire bit. Yeah. No, it is. I agree. Everything you said, right on the money. This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
I like, as just someone who travels through the States a lot and who's been to a lot of motels and hotels and, Buffalo to Florida to California, Holidays Inn. Exactly. Kyle and I were recently in Buffalo. Like, you always see ESPN on the TV. They like, every motel is going to have ESPN, and they never have hockey on. It's always basketball or football or baseball, and it tires me to hell, and I'm sure it tires Kyle. I'm sure he flicks it on and goes, "What the hell is this ESPN?" He's probably shook.
Oh, dude, they'll cover college baseball before they cover hockey on ESPN.
Yes,
and it's got to be frustrating for people who, especially like, for example, let's say if you're like a diehard like Dallas Stars fan, aside from like your local regional broadcast, you're not getting like, this is equivalent to like them having now like a Sportsnet, like the home of hockey in the United States. Like, this is what this is now, which is huge for them. That's huge for the game. Like, you can't be understated how good this is for hockey.
I have distinct memories of a family road trip in Arizona. And just I was 12 and I was appalled. I was like, what is going on here? I've been watching this television for an hour, all hour, just to see some Pittsburgh highlights. I had to go on satellite fucking radio in the car, and have everyone in the family subjected to the Pittsburgh game. It was brutal. It's the only way I could take it in. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm very excited.
It's sad.
But they are the big brand. I love seeing that red logo, and I think it'll promote the game, and I think it's as you guys said, it'll be great. And to your point, Joe, that song sounds like it's going to be back, which is fantastic. Kyle, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, type in ESPN. This is Sports Center. There's these amazing commercials back in the day of the NHL players, like in the offices of the ESPN studio, and they're so funny. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to do it's good for Bettman. It's a good business decision.
Amazing.
And
very good.
Like, I give the guy a lot of shit. We all do. But this one,
we all hate him, but
kudos.
Yeah, good for him. The contract's pretty lucrative. The salary cap's going to go up. It's only going to help the league and grow the game. You can't say enough good things about it.
No.
Like, I'm almost tempted now, like, to like try to find like illegally like ESPN streams and like see how they broadcast it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Great.
Like, I want to.
Who do they hire? right?
Who do they hire?
Do they get Gary and Thorne? What a haul that would be.
I would love Gary Thorne back. It would be great. You know
what I think the key is I believe, especially from the Sportsnet perspective, that the intermission report and that jargon is brutal with what we have now. Like the Sportsnet stuff is just so fucking boring. It's awful. Like it's just factual. Oh, here's what's going on around the league, and this was an interesting play by fuck off. What is wrong with you?
That's the thing. At least like TSN has like the quiz and like it's kind of interesting. Like I also just generally prefer the TSN analysts to the Sportsnet ones. But like no, like I completely agree. Like they're gonna like I want them to hire like top notch people because they're probably gonna have to still sell it to the American market. So they will. And like you want to see like good breakdowns, stuff like that. Because the problem again in the States too is like you have all these local markets, like in their local regional broadcasts, and a lot of those guys that are on those broadcasts, like if you listen to like an FS1 like Florida game, like those guys have no idea. Like they don't know anything about hockey. Like even the intermission, it's like they got some plug they pulled out like a junior that's like saying, well, the puck's got to go in the net, right? You can only win if you score more goals than the other team. We don't need that. You want like good in-depth coverage, right?
Like have a fucking decent like what? Tell me this: what person under 30 years old is sitting down and watching these intermission reports? Nobody.
Do you watch the intermission reports? No. Dude, I give it up and do literally anything. Like I'll do anything before I sit there and watch it.
Even if it's a fucking playoff game, I'm not interested.
Don't care.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what concerns me. ESPN and TSN, they've always been like they're similar. They're almost like brother and sister companies.
Well, I think it's a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Like TSN
so here's my concern. I'm worried ESPN is going to steal some of our talent. I think they're going to. I think some of the TSN people, for money's sake, might jump over the border. That's my theory.
Probably.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. It's a good theory.
I could see like one of like my dad was telling me this the other day. He's like I could see like Bob McKenzie coming out of retirement and like going to like ESPN to do like segments and shit.
Sure.
You know, like they need guys like that, right? Even guys like Duffy, like, you know, you'd hate to see them go because they're like professionals. Like for me, like the biggest threat would be like, I don't want any of the Overdrive guys to go. I love that.
No,
like
they're amazing.
They're amazing. Like Noodles, O-Dog, and like the Hayes. Like you can't say enough good things about that show. It's just so funny. Like
I don't know.
It's a good blue collar show for like the everyman. Like they crack jokes. And, you know, like the competing station at that time was like Bob McCowan, who, you know, like Bob McCowan was brilliant. He was a very smart man, but I could not listen to him because like there'd be times you tune in and you'd be like, so let's discuss the Vegas breakdown of the new stadium. Like no one gives a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I don't care about that. I
my
want to hear
dad
like
loved him,
talk
but
about golfing stories. Yeah. My dad loved him too, but I couldn't listen
to him.
Very
old school.
Right? Like
honestly,
he knows more about sports than all of them, but I want to hear about O-Dog's golf stories and like the Grappler and like Al's brother. I don't want to hear about the business implications of Vegas moving their stadium up in Reno. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Overdrive is the best thing to happen to radio since I've followed sports. I'm not even exaggerating. Like I would sit there the entire time. I sit in my car sometimes when I'm home just to finish off what they have to say. I you know, the trip is over. My car ride is over. I want to keep listening.
Those guys, they came out probably came out like when I was like mid undergrad, probably like in the middle of it. And like, I like those guys like got me through like studying and like, you know, you're just sitting there listening to them. Like you can't say enough good things about those guys. Like they're all professionals. They're all funny, you know, and it was a different type of radio show too, where it was like, it wasn't just sports or like hockey. Like, these guys mix in personal anecdotes. And like some of those like when they started talking about like the first time they brought like the 40-30 like Wrangler grit grinder, fucking hilarious. Fucking so funny.
This is the kind of energy they need for these TV segments. Like why does it have to be contained to radio? Like everyone, like even when you get O-Dog on a TV hit, he's more uptight. He's like the tie is right up to the neck. It's like it's better, but you know, you can tell he's on radio. He lets loose a little more, you know.
On radio, he like wears like helmets and shit. He like puts on. Like, he's hilarious.
It's great. It's great.
They need that personality to sell hockey in the States. Exactly. I guarantee you they will. They make it like a blue collar.
You got to watch the video where the Armageddon Wing Challenge. where he eats the wings from Duff's.
Okay.
You got to watch that after the show. Just load it up in the queue. Have it in the queue.
I love when they have Jonas Siegel on and like Jeff O'Neill calls him like a nerd for being like a hockey analyst and they do like trivia. Fucking hilarious. Like, you know, good for them. Like, you can't say enough good things about the guys.
Okay. Well, I think we move on to our shotgun episode, our shotgun segments here. So we'll have to be a little more swift with these, and I'll start with some more news that broke league related in the past couple weeks. The league made a proposal that it would make 3 large-scale changes to the draft lottery. 2 of them would go into effect in 2022, and 1 would go into effect in 2021. Here are the 3 proposed rule changes. 1, teams would be limited to no more than 2 lottery wins in a 5-year period. 2, teams would only be allowed to jump 10 spots with a lottery win. And 3, there would be a reduction in the number of picks decided by the lottery from 3 to 2. So those are your 3. I pose the question to you 2. Which of those 3 sticks out to you the most? Do you think it's warranted? What do you make of these proposed changes?
The rule that sticks out to me is like, what was it? You can't win like the lot. What was it? You can't win the lottery 3 times or what?
2 times in 3 years, or in a 5-year period. You can't win 2 in a 5-year period.
I'm not into that.
I guess they're trying to address the whole Edmonton fiasco where they went off.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me because it's like, obviously on the one hand you want to discourage tanking, right? And you don't want like an Edmonton situation where they get like fucking like was like 4 first-round picks and like, you know, like 5 or 6 years. Like, you want to discourage that, but at the same time it's like, you know, it might hurt some of these small market teams that like, you know, like what if you're like really, really bad and like, you know, you need to, you know, the more like, because like a first-round pick can change the franchise. And remember, like winning the draft lottery itself, if you don't win in a year where you have a generational player, it still might not move the needle. You know what I'm trying to say?
Look at
like
you
can have exactly Heischer, guys like that, like are fucking. You could conceivably win the draft lottery twice in a row and have like a Yakupov and a Heischer. That does nothing for your franchise, especially if you're a small market team. So yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit like the NHL is just like getting a little gun shy here and like trying to prevent tanking after like the whole Buffalo fiasco, and like even openly Mike Babcock, that fucking piece of shit, went on the TV and said like, oh well, yeah, we were just losing for Matthews that year, right? So they're trying to combat that. But I think I think it's not black and white, because people automatically assume, oh, you win the draft lottery, you're getting a great player. You might get a good player. But like, if you don't tank for like a McDavid, a Matthews, or an Eichel under normal circumstances and not Buffalo, you know, it might not move the needle, right? It still might not move the needle. So yeah, I think that's kind of bush league from the league, no?
Yeah, no, you know what? I like the idea of not moving up more than 10 spaces. I think that's totally fair.
Cool. Yeah.
The top 2, sure. Like you don't have to lottery all 3 picks. But what you said, like 2 years in a row, because what if you're Ottawa, who tries every night, you know?
Yeah.
You've landed in last, sure, and then you've accidentally won the lottery, sure, nice, but now you're out of what, the Shane Wright or the Connor Bedard lottery? Like what?
Yeah, fuck that.
You'd be pissed. That's not right, man.
You can do 2 in a row. You can do 2 in a row. It's just 2 in the span of 5 years. No more than 2. No more than 2.
It's still bullshit because it takes a long time to rebuild. Like things don't just happen overnight. Like teams like the Leafs and shit, like that's an anomaly that usually doesn't happen. But like, you know, like how long has Ottawa, or like how long have some teams been rebuilding? Look at Buffalo, you know. Well, they actually might be an anomaly too. But there are a lot of teams that, for example, like 5 years, like you might just be hitting the stride where you're making the playoffs, right? You know, and again, like it's all about the quality of those picks. Like you can get like lottery ball a bunch of good players if you win the draft lottery, but if you don't have like a generational talent, it still might not move the needle. And all it does is hurt small market teams like Ottawa and you know, right?
Oh my God!
What?
McKinnon just had an all-world play for this goal. Unbelievable. You know, on that, Joe,
this guy's game watching and not even paying attention. Sad.
No, I do. I was listening very intently. I do believe the reason they're coming up with all these intricate little details is because other than the 2021 draft, you're looking at 2 very, very, very important and perhaps generational drafts in 2022 and 2023. Like I was showing Nick some highlights there. This guy Connor Bedard, who's just gotten exceptional status to the WHL, first in history. If you know exceptional status players, they usually, if they can get over a point per game, they're McDavid, they're Wright, they're Shane Wright, they're amazing.
Yeah.
This guy's 15. He's got 8 points in 4 games. He's scored in every fucking game. He's unbelievable so far in the WHL. And he's going in 2023. The guy going behind him, Matvey Michkov, is being compared to Ovechkin for his goal scoring. It's like those 2 years are going to be like who is Lafreniere? Like nobody. It's going to be unbelievable.
I'm still asking.
But then 2021 is going to be such a dud draft. It's like pick up a decent defenseman and move along. Which is why, Nick, you and I both, we're not really following 2021. Usually we'd be doing draft analysts stuff every other week.
I've been reading. It's interesting. It's interesting.
It's not very interesting.
It is.
It's
kind
not
of.
very
It is kind of interesting because you don't have stars to follow. But I like it when there's more parity and you don't really know who should be number one, and it's a little more of a debate. It's an interesting year. It's a refreshing. At the very least, it's a little refreshing.
But you wouldn't be able to fill out a later first round.
The lottery won't be as exciting. The lottery won't be as exciting because the first round pick repercussions won't be as profound because there isn't a consensus number one. And it's always more fun when everyone's going after the consensus number one.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I agree.
But it'll lead to better discussion about who should be number one. And there's about 4 guys in that discussion.
Sure.
Something off topic. We're looking at NHL contracts. This is fucking the Dolphins, my football team, their football team just signed a player 1 year, and he's a mid-tier wide receiver, not even that good, for $9,635,000 with up to $3 million in incentives. The fucking disparity between hockey contracts and the rest of the fucking sporting world is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is.
Completely off topic, but I was just looking at it oh my God, could you imagine that? Anyways.
Especially fucking baseball. How do these guys get so much money? No one fucking goes to the games.
You know what? Honestly,
and it's $10 to go, man. I don't get it.
I got to tell you, I have a soft spot in my heart for baseball. I'm a Jays fan now, but I grew up as a Yankees fan. Derek Jeter was one of my favorite athletes of all time. And I got really into the MLB video game. So I always have a soft spot for baseball, but it's so hard to watch. I watch every regular season Leaf game, and I can watch any hockey game that's on TV, but I can't sit down and watch a full Jays game if it's meaningless. I can't. It's too boring. 9 innings long. Exactly. It's slow as fuck. It's
crazy.
It's more of an. I think that's more of an older, an older generation sport where they can sit down and appreciate it. But for the younger generation, no one wants to watch that. I'm sorry,
no.
It's just not exciting.
But yet, some shit duster gets 10 million.
Seriously, what about the NBA? Bench players get 30 million. It's nuts.
God.
Meanwhile, Jason Spetz is out here making $700K, busting his ass every night.
That's crazy.
That poor man.
Speaking of salaries, we move along. Kyle's arch nemesis.
Nick's trying to get this show back on the rails.
Kyle's arch nemesis got paid. Jordan Binnington signs a 6-year, $6 million AAV contract.
No.
Kyle will be happy to hear that immediately after signing the deal, the first thing he did was hop in his Jeep and go on a 45-minute drive around the city of St. Louis and reminisce about his career. He's at peace. He is now at peace. He can now sleep well at night knowing he has been paid. This now puts him as the 10th highest paid goalie in the league. That's behind from 1 to 10, Price, Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Rask, Fleury, Gibson, Murray, Hellebuck. And just to contextualize it, Hellebuck 6.17, Murray 6.25, Gibson 6.4, Fleury and Rask at 7. So there you go.
How the fuck is Murray in that conversation?
Well, that's the one anomaly there. That's just Dorion being Dorion. But
that's the Ottawa tax.
Right. Well, I digress. What is this? Are the Blues going to regret this signing, Kyle Nice?
Honestly, I think they will. I think Binnington was a real flash in the pan. You know what I was listening to the other day? I was listening to Chris Johnson of SportsNet. Ask very candidly, who would you have in net for the Olympic team? He said Binnington, and I fell off my chair. I was like, "Are you shitting me right now? This is the main guy you're gonna get. Like, is this the best we can do? Binnington? Binnington is such a flash in the pan kind of storyline. It's not even funny. Like, he's gonna be like the next Matt Murray. That's what's gonna happen to him. He won a cup as a young guy, and now he's gonna be washed up, man. I'm telling you, this guy is not the real deal. He's not the real deal.
I've always been skeptical about Binnington. Like, I agree. Like, I thought he just had like a really good playoffs. Like, he's still a good goalie, but I don't know if he's going to. I don't know for long-term success how he's going to be. But also, like, I think it just runs deeper with him because like he's a very unlikable person.
Yeah.
You know, like
so
those shenanigans he pulled in San Jose that other night, and obviously his past indiscretions is just, you know, I think he's a bit of a clown. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Blues will come to regret this. I don't like the direction they're headed in.
No, he's got bad numbers this year too. A 907, a 282 goals against.
It's he's not the Binnington.
904. 904, I should say.
This guy,
As the lone Blues fan, I will basically tell you, I think it catches me as a move they had to make. They had to make. They were almost forced into it. Like, there's no next coming guy. There's no other goaltender there.
There's no one in the pipeline
moved on. I mean, Ville Husso is the backup, and they think he's got some pedigree, but I mean, he's not ready for big time minutes. And they already did the bridge. Right. They already did like the test me contract. So at this point, I was either let him walk or pay up. And the reality is, you look at the resume, I'm sure that contract negotiation, they looked at his numbers, how many wins he's won the past 3 years, the splits, the cup. And at that point, 6 for 6 was warranted. And so I think I don't know. I don't particularly like the goalie. I don't think he's in the top third of goalies in the league. He's probably somewhere between like in that second, third group. And for that money, I don't know. But to me, it's a move they had to make because they let Pietrangelo walk. By that time, they had money to spend. They spent it on Krug, and then if you had to pay 6-6 to get your starter, then they paid 6-6 to get the starter. So there you go.
I think it was just a situation where he had the leverage, right? I mean, in this like negotiation, it's like, you guys have no one to back me up. I'm still an upper echelon goalie in the league. And, it's either you pay me or some team, that has the cap space will, right? So he won the best of that exchange, right? And, let's say what you want about the guy. Like, obviously I disagree with his, like, I think he has a lot of character issues. But, like, overall, I mean, like, he's a very, very, very competent goalie in the NHL. And you could do a lot worse, at least from a playing standpoint, than Jordan Binnington. And, listen, hey, he murrayed it. He made his money off his pedigree in the playoffs, and the Blues are hoping to recapture that again. Will they? I don't know. But I think me and Kyle are just saying, for long-term success, like, we don't know if that's, if he's going to ever play like that again, because that was an unprecedented, like, playoff success, right? That was unprecedented numbers in those playoffs, right? So, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
It's just hard to root for the guy.
Very, very hard. For the record, I'm not at all surprised by the numbers or the term. Like you said, it had to be done. Absolutely not eyebrow raising at all what you said. It's just I don't like it. I just don't like the guy, and I don't like the Blues long term either, to be honest, as a team. So
no, neither do I. I think when they brought in Torrey Krug, that started the decline of the St. Louis Blues as we know them.
No, they've, as a guy who's watched about half their games, it's been an up and down year. They've probably been riddled by injuries more than any other team in the league. We're talking Robert Thomas long term, Colton Parayko long term.
Right. So they've had some issues.
Okay. Jaden Schwartz long term.
Come on.
They've lost
Colorado.
a lot. Tyler Bozak long term. They've been really hurt.
Even the Leafs have had massive amounts of injuries, and they've still kept winning.
These have really hurt them, and they haven't looked the same. So I think when everyone gets back and healthy, they'll be fine. But right now, if you look at the standing, they're just clinging to that fourth spot. LA's right behind them, like 2 points back.
In a very in a weak division too.
I wouldn't say so. Those top 3 teams have been pretty elite: Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota.
Yeah, but the bottom of that division is terrible.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying the 4 that make it will be deserving. They will be 4 contenders.
Of course, yeah.
Which I can't say that about the Central, where the 4th spot there is either going to be Chicago or Colombo or Dallas. You know
what, Nick?
The Central is terrible.
Yeah.
I could actually see St. Louis in trouble of not making it with
That's
LA
what I'm telling
nipping
you.
at their
That's what
heels.
I'm saying to you guys. They're clinging on to the
LA
4th, and LA's playing
LA
well.
really came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They have a game in hand as well.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying they just lost to LA yesterday. It was a huge loss for the Blues. But they're convinced. I read all the reports. Jeremy Rutherford in The Athletic. I read all the reports. Apparently, they're not really going to make a trade. They're banking on the guys returning from injury making a difference. The Parekos and the Schwartzes and the Bozaks.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think they'll be fine, but it's going to be like they're going to save their best play for the end, and I think that's what you expect out of a veteran group, like a group that's primed for the playoffs. You know, we're going to go hard the last 20 games, but until we get those last 20 games, we're kind of just going to measly, go at a slow pace.
Yeah, but then you're asking for a date with Vegas in round 1. You know,
well,
that's.
A date in that you either got Colorado or Vegas, right? Like it's gonna be a tough road either way, right?
Yeah,
it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on from one goalie to another goalie. For the first time since February 7th, Robin Lehner came out of hiding yesterday. He stepped to the podium and gave an inspirational talk about mental health. He basically got up there, and the interviewer asked him a question. He said, "Hey, what do you think of the rumors swirling out there that your absence the last month and a half has been because of mental health issues and not an actual injury?" And he basically replied saying, "Listen, I think that disgusts me, and by now I should be getting the benefit of the doubt that I'm not hiding behind any of that bullshit because I'm a stand-up guy and I've been outspoken about this cause." So I'm sure you guys heard about this. What did you, very briefly, what did you think of these comments?
Gutless question from the reporter.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, there's no one in the NHL that's been more outspoken about and more candid about his mental health issues than Mr. Lehner. And all respect to him. And I think that was just a gutless question from a reporter that was fishing for like a quote. But no, I really, really like the response from Lehner. He's like, look, like I always am candid with you guys about mental health issues. And even if he decided not to be, that's completely his business. Like, this is not like, these are like serious issues. And if he wants to even keep them, why is that reporter even entitled to like ask that question or know about that information? And not that Lehner wouldn't talk about it, because he has and will continue to do so. He's an ambassador for mental health. I just thought when I read that, I'm like, I couldn't believe someone had the balls like to ask that question to him of all people. Like, are you serious? Like, You just don't do that to a guy like Robin Lehner, who's basically, I think, for me, is the poster boy for mental health of the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
A reporter trying to pander to a storyline that would obviously get a ton of clicks is just a gutless play. It's a gutless play.
It's Steve Simmons-esque.
Yeah, exactly. The guy, for him to be the guy to come out and share this kind of stuff shouldn't mean that he has to be plastered with it every time he's out with an injury, So I don't know. Yeah, just
I don't have much to add on that point. The one thing that interests me as a Fleury and Lehner owner, now that he's back into the fold, is
you're upset.
I'm not upset. Like, I'm just very curious, because we're in a situation where this veteran is basically having a Vezina type season. He is, as of right now, tied for first in shutouts, second in GAA and save percentage respectively, and third in wins. So by all accounts, he's in the running for the Vezina. He started just as many games as anyone else. He started 21 games. So if you're DeBoer, my boy, do you keep giving the baton to him, going, this is a remarkable, like, a guy at this age has a shot at the Vezina, like, this is really something, and I got to give him the ball and keep him running? Or do you go back to what you were doing before? Rest him for the playoffs, split the timing, I have it on
Traded
good
to Toronto.
I have it on good terms that the Vegas manager, McPhee, they interviewed him this past week. They asked him what we should do, and he said he would like a split. He would like the 2 splitting starts for the end of the year. So does DeBoer listen to management? That's my question for you guys.
Yes.
Does he listen to management and do the split, or does he give this veteran his last shot into the sunset? What do you guys think?
No, dude, you got to give him a split. At Fleury's age, like if you want him to be competent for the playoffs, you need to rest him. Right?
Kyle?
Well, I'll say this. I was listening to Montreal radio. Alan Walsh was on, the agent of Marc-Andre Fleury, and Alan Walsh seems to think that Fleury prefers to be the number one guy and play starts like the number one guy.
He called him the Elastic Man.
Man. That's a great name.
Call him whatever you will. Like I think he's hot. He's not like showing any signs of slowing down.
Fuck is he good?
Play him like a starter. Don't overplay him, and I think that's your formula. Like don't overthink it. Just play him like a starter. You know, if you're gonna expand it to an 80-game season, maybe play him as if you're playing him 50 to 55 games. You know, that kind of ratio I think is right on point for Fleury.
Yep.
I don't think that'll be enough to keep him in the race, because you look at the Vasilevsky, like you only think he's going to keep getting his starts, and Grubauer in Colorado, they have no one else to play. I think this is like a death sentence for his Vezina Trophy candidacy.
I mean, you know what? Fleury's got a couple cups. I'm not sure he's too worried about the Vezina, man. I don't think that's on his mind. I don't think it's on the team's mind. I think
I don't think he's worried about his next contract.
Factor. I mean, his play will speak for itself, whether he gets the Vezina or not. Like, everyone knows what he is. He's an older, experienced, and still with it goaltender. Like, yeah, the Vezina will help, but at the end of the day, it's just an accolade. It might move the needle a little bit, but not too much.
This guy's a winner. He's a professional. He'll put the team first always. That's just who he is.
And the most character goalie in the league, we should add.
Yeah. No,
better than Joey Decord, might I add, too.
Yep.
Well, he didn't go to Arizona State, so we can't give him that accolade.
I know. I love hearing the Flower talk after every game. He's a great interview every time. He's just a consummate professional. Yeah. And it's just, I love watching their games because the two goalies are so different. Like, one guy is so athletic and fun to watch, and the other guy is basically the Michelin Man just standing there. So it's a fun dynamic, and I hope to God DeBoer gives Fleury a few more starts than Leonard, but I have my doubts given where DeBoer stands. I still think he likes Leonard after all the stuff we saw last year. So
that's awful.
We will see. We will see. Maybe he'll prove us wrong.
Coach.
Maybe the lawyer will prove you wrong. Who knows?
I don't see the logic there whatsoever, to be honest.
What, in splitting starts?
In even giving Leonard half the starts, I don't see the logic.
Rest is not a factor for you?
I don't know. Like, it's got to be, dude. Like, how old is he? How old's Fleury?
36, 37?
36,
okay, yeah. Come on. Don't tell me rest isn't a factor. It's got to be,
I don't know.
Dude. Like,
I don't know.
He's not Tom Brady. He's not invincible.
As long as you are so upfront and honest and transparent about your communication with the goalie, like, you're the number one guy, we're going to rest you for these reasons, then fine. But if for any reason, then I'm going to be upset.
Man, that McKinnon play was incredible. I'm just watching it now. Fucking unreal.
Unreal. At the blue line, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Goodness
All
me.
world.
Brutal play here, Kyle. First shift of his NHL career, Jamie Drysdale just made a terrible turnover right to Arizona,
right.
and they scored. It's 1-0 Arizona off a brutal turnover from Jamie Drysdale in his NHL debut.
I'm going to try to find it right now. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's awful, man. Like, and I was going to ask you, what two Canadian defensemen are making surprise starts today? Makar and Drysdale.
Oh, yeah.
That's terrible, man.
This is not a good look. He does not look ready for this at all.
But he was tearing up the AHL.
Men against boys. Okay. Lastly, we got a few last ones here. I want Kyle's thoughts, given he's the only one of all three of us who could potentially pull this move off. What did you make of the Matthew Barzal goal of the year candidate?
Disgusting.
Oh, so good, man.
The sauce
so
doctor.
good. This guy's like the most talented guy who doesn't put up crazy points, you know? Like, it's crazy. He's on like a 60-point pace. He's like good.
Yeah, the thing is about it, it's like he'll never blow your door off like Matthews and shit like that with the points and stuff like that, but he's like sneaky, very good, you know? And that goal was just disgusting. Like,
oh my
filthy.
God.
I was watching that, like, I jumped out of my seat. I'm like, did that actually happen?
Yeah.
Like, insane.
That's crazy, man.
I
like
usually, yeah.
He's the kind of guy, he's like the last guy you'd imagine on an Islanders team run by Trotz. He's the last guy you'd imagine, but somehow it works. I don't get it, but it's like it works somehow.
They've turned their season around because at the beginning they were really struggling. Like they were like borderline. Like I'm like, are they even going to make the playoffs? But that Trotz system, he's the only guy that can. You know, if you had any other coaching that team, they'd be fucking terrible. But Trotz knows what he's doing.
They're number one in the league, aren't they?
Close to it, I think. I think Florida. I think
Washington
it's like
just leaped them the other night, but they're right up there.
Yeah, they're a good team. Yeah, I hate the way they play hockey, you know, but fuck it works, I guess.
But see, here's the thing. Like, I feel like if he ever left there, then I feel like he'd put up that point per game pace we should become accustomed to. You know? It's because of his. It's the lack of supporting cast, and it's the system holding him back. And I feel like if he just went somewhere else, he's immediately a 90-point player.
Yeah,
or close to it at least.
Yeah, it's Tampa, Washington, Florida, Carolina, the Islanders, Vegas, Toronto. Those are the top 7 teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more topics. What order you want to go in, Kyle? You want to go laugh track, or do you want to go Gord Miller?
Gord Miller first.
Gord Miller first. Okay. So this was news to me, and then I just heard about it this morning. So I was going to ask Joe more about this because I figured of the three of us, you're like the most Barstool guy. Like, I feel like you probably listen to most of their content. You know, I could see you watching the pizza reviews.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could see you watching those.
Yeah.
So
I hope that's sarcasm.
So I learned a lot about, like, I just knew that Spittin' Chicklets, but I didn't really know much about like the broader organization. So there's this guy called Dave Portnoy, and apparently Gord Miller was doing a Q&A on Twitter. They asked him if he'd ever be on a Barstool thing of like Spittin' Chicklets. He said no. The reason he said no was because he didn't want to endorse a podcast that potentially, or has in the past shown signs of promoting misogyny, rape culture, and racism. And basically right after that, apparently this Portnoy guy, he's got these hounds of dogs on Twitter, and they all went off on innocent Prime Minister Miller. And basically they sounded off on him, and it was funny. I was hearing Gord, he was on Montreal radio yesterday. He gave his defense, and like right after his Q&A, all these women in the industry were getting back to him saying, "Oh my God, so glad you said that. Like, wow, what a guy." And then like he got off a flight from Ottawa, and then all the Portnoy stuff started getting in, and it just got ugly. And then, you know, Joe, you mentioned the stuff before the show about his daughter. They were getting her into the fray, and she had to turn off her mentions on Twitter. And in this Montreal radio interview, he's like, "Hey, listen, I stand by what I said. Like, this is a guy who said that Colin Kaepernick looks like Osama bin Laden. This is a guy who says that a drunk girl who passes out at a party, basically it's a gray area at that point.
Oh my God.
This is a guy who says this is a guy who said a woman at the office will be too ugly to be on camera in 5 years. This is a guy who said skinny girls in skinny jeans deserve to be raped. So in his defense, he claims this is all satire and that's just his sense of humor. But Miller read it another way. So lots to unpack here. Rarely does this, like, this man, I always just saw him as like a he's opinionated, but to get involved in this, I was very surprised to see. And I thought we should talk about it just because he's such a key clog in hockey. I don't think the sport of hockey would be the same with no Gord Miller. So he's in the news. So let the floodgates open. What did you think of this?
Yeah, like I'll start. I see. The thing is, like, how can you make, like, that's not what satire is. Satire is like what, like, Saturday Night Live does when they have like a sketch of Donald Trump. And satire is like what The Simpsons does when they like make fun of, like, you know, American life or American politics. Making jokes like that is just offensive and wrong and should never. And like, that's not like comedy. Like, no. And if you laugh at that, you have issues, right? Like, of course, like I follow like some Barstool content on the internet and stuff like that. Like, I haven't like seen them post that stuff, but I do know this gentleman Portnoy has passed. He has said things like that, which is absolutely disgusting and in no way should be conceived comedy. At least that's not the type of comedy that normal people listen to. The issue I have is that, you know, these are the same people. Like, this guy goes on like Fox News all the time and complains that he gets canceled. And yet he sends like droves of people after Gord Miller for speaking his mind. And yet at the same time, you're saying that's cancel culture. Like, dude, come on. Like, you're not being canceled. You're the CEO of a major corporation. You go on the news all the time, you know, albeit right-leaning news. You go on the news all the time. You're not being canceled. And like, the thing is, like, the people that like respond are like, I don't want to say like a mold, but like they're typical, like, you know, like Brad and Chad from like, you know, frat boys that are like going after like a 16-year-old girl and stuff like that. And like, you know, the Spinning Chicklets podcast, for example, like, I've listened to it before. Like, I like Paul Bissonnette, I like Ryan Whitney, but it's just like this Portnoy guy. He rubs me the wrong way because like he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows it's going to cause like a controversy. And like some of the comments that I've seen, like from people are like, oh, Portnoy's twice the man as do Gord Miller or nobody. Like, no, Gord Miller is one of the voices of hockey in Canada. And obviously this resonates because female colleagues are sticking up for him, right? Like, this is a serious issue he's speaking out on, right? You know, and I'm not going to get too much into, you know, like what I think of Barstool and stuff like that. Cause like I said, like I have followed their content and like, some stuff they have is like objectively like whatever, like they're trying to be like frat bar humor, but they do cross the line a lot. And like, I just can't condone with some of the stuff that this Portnoy guy says. And like, always people hide behind the guise of like, oh, well, he does like philanthropic efforts. Like, I mean, yeah, like plenty of big corporations do philanthropic efforts. It doesn't excuse what they do. The Koch brothers do philanthropic efforts all the time. It doesn't mean they're good people, right? And making jokes like that, like, that's just objectively wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'll just preface by saying, I don't know if there's anyone I like more than Gord Miller, particularly paired with Ray Ferraro, to call my favorite game. Like,
those two guys, that tandem, 1 and 2.
Exactly. And you know what bugs me is what I'm seeing online is those who are out there saying, "Oh, who are you, Gord Miller? Like, no one even likes you, Gord. What are you talking about? Fucking dumbass." Gord is like the voice of not only TSN hockey, but like, for my money, he's the best voice in hockey on a broadcast perspective. Like, how could you can't bring shame to this guy's name. And he didn't even take that hard of a stance. He said, I don't mind those Spittin' Chicklets guys, but I'm just not going to associate with Barstool.
Which is completely fair. That's
fair as hell,
That's
man.
fair as hell. You know?
Like, because, you know, like you said, Barstool stands for a certain thing. They try to be funny for a particular audience, and sometimes they cross the line. And he just doesn't want to be associated with that. Totally fair, man. Like, what is wrong with people these days? Why does this Portnoy guy, because he has to get all up in arms, because he has to, you know, create some sort of relevancy, some buzz around his name, build his brand even more as this controversial figure. Like, I'm just so sick and tired. Like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know much about him. I know his name. I've followed a little bit, but he's a clown. He wants to be in the spotlight for whatever reason he can. And it's lame as fuck to go after a Gord Miller for that, you know, he knows
he knows exactly the audience he's targeting with some of the stuff he says. And then he knows exactly how to defend his conduct by saying that I'm just going to be a victim of cancel culture.
Oh, sure.
But dude, like, it sometimes it's not even cancel culture. It's just like what you're saying is objectively wrong, and there's just no place for that in public or on a show. Like it's just that's not funny. That stuff isn't funny, right?
Yeah.
Post all the stupid videos you want about people getting drunk and like doing stupid shit.
Yeah,
everyone does that. That's fine. Whatever. Who cares? Like that stuff's fine. But if you're gonna make comments that he like that, that's not what satire is. Like the definition of satire is not that. Satire is like poking fun at like politics or making a mockery of like institutions and things like that. Jokes like that are not satire in my books.
And I could be wrong because I don't follow it too much, but I'm pretty sure the Chiclets guys don't cross too many lines in that regard. Like
I don't listen to them enough to know that. Like I just think like Paul Bissonnette is like he's like sometimes they're funny like online, but like I don't. Yeah. I'm like a regular listener, but like sometimes if they'll have like for example like Austin Matthews on, like I'll take a listen.
Yeah, I know
Marner,
exactly.
Or like Jeff Merrick, like those are sons I listen to. But like I don't know if they're. I think it's just with the specific individual in Dave Portnoy. That's the issue with.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And the gutless move of like sending his droves of Brad and Chads after him and his 16-year-old fucking daughter with the muter mentions. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's gutless.
So I don't know what happened with the whole daughter thing. If anyone knows, I'd love to know the story there.
Yeah. So his daughter basically went out and said, like, I got a comment on what my dad said.
Yeah.
Right. And she basically backed him up. And then like the same idiots that were in the mentions of Gord Miller went to his daughter, not knowing that she was a 16-year-old girl.
Oh boy.
And like it's just terrible. Like I feel for her reading through some of that shit, Like and
right.
To me it's just you're wrong.
And then some of the comments against Miller were basically they were calling him a homo, a fag.
Oh
yeah, like that's terrible.
And
you're throwing your argument in the garbage at that point.
And they made fun of him for his profile photo where he's making a mask.
Yeah,
and he responded saying, "Well, sorry for having a photo where I'm promoting other people wear masks and save lives in public."
What a fucking joke.
Yeah, Gord Miller doesn't have to apologize for having a brain. That's the thing is, but that's the audience they cater to. It's those type of people that think that, it's a political correct. It's not politically correct to say it, or like it's, a mask is a political statement, or, saying these harmful words is, it's a violation of free speech. No, that stuff is just objectively wrong to say. You can't say that to people because it's offensive and it's derogatory. It's not right. There's limits to what. Not to what you can say, but there's you could say what you want, but the outcome of what affects you, whether it's losing a job or stuff like that, free speech doesn't protect you from that.
Right.
And for the record, I do think the Chiclets guy, I do think those guys deserve to be in another sphere because from what I hear, they are pretty respectful. Like when Pierre Maguire was on their show or Ray Ferraro was on the show, they always do kind of a debrief before they hop on. Like, all right, what stuff you don't want to touch on? What do you want to touch on? What's off limits? Mm-hmm. And like Ferraro was like, hey guys, no schlong talk whatsoever. And they totally respected it. And Pierre had a similar conversation. So I like that. It shows professionalism in them and those guys get it. I feel like those two get it, but I can't comment any further on the other guys, the Portnoys and whatnot.
Yeah. I don't know enough about him as a person, but if what you're telling me is true from the comments that you've read about him, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I just don't think decent people anywhere should be saying that stuff.
Sure. Okay. Closing topic as tradition dictates, the laugh track. Last 2 weeks have been a little up and down. Started off real well. I think he had points in 5 of 6 games. He had a 4-game point streak. He had a beautiful shot on Mackenzie Blackwood where he went top cheese on him. Really good stuff. Played on the top line. There's the first time in a string of 2 weeks where he was consistently on one line with Buchnevich and Zibanejad. And Buchnevich, as we call him in Ukraine.
Is it Buchnevich? Okay.
I like calling him Buchnevich.
No, it's not.
No, it looked good. And then he went on a 6-game drought. Nothing to speak of. As predicted, once Capo Caco came back, it kind of hurt him. Chris Kreider was promoted to the top line, so he kind of lost his role there. Now Panarin is back. That's another guy he's had to compete with. So he's now playing with Philip Cheadle and Kako. He's been a little quiet the last couple games. Had an assist last night, but was more of a garbage assist in garbage time. So what's new, Kyle?
I'll tell you what's new from what I've seen is that overtime I chimed in for.
Oh,
he just looked like a mess, a hot Britney mess. It was just, oh my God, he was giving up the puck. He looked scared as fuck. He was walking the blue line at one point, and Panarin was trying to switch with him, and he lost it in Panarin's feet. It got totally fucked. It left the blue line. It was terrible. Like, it looks like his confidence is at an all-time low at the moment. But then I keep telling you, you keep showing me little clips of him joshing with his teammates and laughing with his coach. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm going to make a hot take right here, right now. This guy is not an athlete. That's the one takeaway I have, Nick. He's not an athlete. He's weak and he's slow.
He is weak.
Like, if you look at the numbers, and just today I looked at this. He's got the exact same height as Leon Draisaitl, and obviously he's a little lighter. But like,
really,
yes, he's as big as Leon Draisaitl.
You wouldn't know that though.
No, you would not. But he's about 12 pounds lighter. 12 pounds. But the guy is he doesn't win a battle. He will not get to the open spaces. And then the confidence is hurting bad. It's hurting bad. And and the string of points there, it showed some promise. It showed some promise. Like, you showed me that little clip of him skating into the zone. Like, we're not getting enough of that. Why can't we get more of that?
Yeah,
like, the stride still needs work, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then we'll bring this up again with Joe is the Tim Stützle argument. Of course, it needs to be had because we cater to the fans. Of course, we do.
We do. We love the fans. I mean, how could you not say that Stützle's better right now? Like,
oh, there's no question about that.
Like, how could you not? Like, I enjoy watching Jimmy Stu play all the time. He's a good player.
He's a good player.
He can skate. He's
likable. He's so likable. He's just as happy and laughy as Laugh.
But I think Lafreniere is likable. The problem is that you just had such high hopes for this kid that he's letting you down. And now you're upset. Yes. You're an angry man. And now you're starting to hit
so angry. Yeah. I'm so angry. And you know what? I've lost the will to watch Rangers games because I just get so disappointed.
Oh, no. Say it ain't so.
Yeah.
Are you starting to smell?
No. That it's too early for that, but like really? I'm already writing off the season, and he better have, like, I'll tell you this: he came into the season. That's another thing I'll get into in a sec, but he came into the season unprepared. I'm going to state it again: he came into the season without hitting the weights enough as he should have, and without like working on explosiveness. And then I'll say this, just to take a little heat off. Everyone early on in the season was all like, oh, look at Jack Hughes. He had a terrible first year, and now he's so good. Jack Hughes is still shit. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but his point totals, he's rocking like a 0.5 point per game.
But he's coming around.
Okay. He had 2 points tonight, but before that he had like 1 point in like 8 games.
Really nice goal tonight.
Yes. So it's not like Jack Hughes is dug out of this hole that we're digging Laugh right now. He's not out of the woods yet. That's all I'm saying. Everyone dug him out of the woods early on. He's really not out of it yet. So, I mean, maybe it's a hard league. I don't know.
No, I
seriously, man.
I think that point streak, it was kind of fluky. Like a lot of points in garbage time, like a lot of like non-meaningful.
The snipe was in garbage time.
It was in garbage time. I watched that whole game. I turned off the game because I knew they were going to win. And then he got the snipe. And I was just like, okay. Like, it's kind of, these spurts of magic are kind of happening in garbage time. And I'm not seeing the effort, the consistency that I need to see.
He still thinks he has the time and space that he did in the queue.
Yeah.
And
he's been getting better. He's been getting better as far as processing the game and the pace. I can give him that.
Players was that he had high hockey IQ. Does not seem to be translating yet to the NHL. I think he still thinks he has all the time and all the space to create and do what he did in the queue, and it's just not there because the game's faster, right?
Right.
I want this young man to succeed. I think it's great. I like how he ended up in New York, like on Broadway, but like I don't know, maybe it's just a weird year. Like hopefully he rebounds, but it doesn't bode well. Like, can you remember the last time a player was touted to be like this generational and like been this bad to start? Like what's a comparable player?
Not in my recent memory. Not in my recent memory.
Right. So that's the thing. Like maybe he'll just end up to be like a good player.
I know, but then Joe, like the excuses out there are he hasn't played since March before this NHL season. No exhibition games, like no warm up, like no, like and then rinks were closed down for a while. There are those out there, but then it's like, I mean, how long can you rely on that?
No, yeah,
we're halfway through the season now,
and I'm sure fantasy owners like Nick Costi was a little upset at his.
Hey, nope, he's still good in the room, and I think that attitude. That attitude has gotten me to first place. So I'm fine. He's captaining a first place team. Just to let you guys know, he is the captain of my team, and we are first as of right now.
Can you tell me what your name means? Duck. What does that mean?
Play on Duck L'Orange.
Yeah, come on. Haven't you ever? You're not a cultured guy. You don't eat this guy. Like Joe,
I don't know what that
is. This guy doesn't eat foreign foods. If it's a foreign food, he does not touch it. He is like
that's a lie.
He's Mr. North America. He is Mr.
That is first year.
He is Mr. Burger, fries, pizza, and wings. That is what
that is first year.
When are you coming to Kingston so I can make you a bowl of pasta?
That is first year stuff that Nick is.
He is the last. He is the last
never let that go.
Of a worldly man. He is far from a Ralph Kruger.
We'll take him to Amadeus when he comes up. You better come up soon.
That'll do him some good.
I hope so.
That'll give him a kick in the rear end.
You guys got like what, a month and a half, and then you're done there, or what?
I'm sticking around. I'm sticking around for May and June probably.
You're studying for the bar here?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's sad though. Last little hurrah.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with that, unless there's any closing thoughts or comments, we've addressed everything. More. Please, Nash, you have the floor.
First of all, you missed a really good chirping match between Bo Byram and Jordan Greenway. Oh, second of all, Colorado's winning the cup. You know what? Quinn Hughes gets a lot of hype. Sam Girard, just as good as Quinn Hughes. Just saying.
Hey, he's probably better defensively.
Probably is.
Closing thoughts. Leafs Colorado final. 7 games.
Oh, that would be.
Lets in a goal from the blue line from Kelly McCarr, and the Avs win the cup.
I wouldn't complain about that kind of final.
Oh, I wouldn't. If it made it to Game 7, like my heart would be out of my chest. But as a Leaf fan, I've come to accept failure. I'm not even going to say they're going to win the cup. I think let's start with winning a round.
Hey, that's a good first.
Closing thoughts: the team with the gold helmets wins the Stanley Cup.
Ooh,
and which by the way, I gotta buy one of these gold tracksuits. DeBoer, he's been walking around town in this gold tracksuit. It's a gold Vegas Golden Knight tracksuit. Man, these tracksuits are something else.
Was he
that is embarrassing.
Carry from the Sopranos?
Yeah. Like you should see them at practice. They got the gold helmets and the gold tracksuits. I love this team. Okay, and I lied, Kyle. Apologies are in order. It was not Drysdale who made the turnover.
Okay.
It was Cam Fowler. It was Cam Fowler. They look very similar, and they both wear number 4.
That's your Drysdale.
Apologies are in order.
That's your Drysdale hate coming out.
Yeah, he's actually playing really well. And then they're giving him a lot of minutes here in the first. So there you have it.
Well, you know what? as a defenseman, he's outscored Quinton Byfield. So
Byfield, boy, I watched one of his goals the other day. It was such a fluke. He basically came running down the wing, fast Byfield, threw a measly shot into like the chest of the goalie, and the goalie just couldn't hold it, and it just trickled under his armpits. And Byfield,
why don't you
like
give
crazy?
Give him a chance.
I've been reading. No, he's still getting used to life there in Southern California. Apparently, he's never cooked, cleaned dishes, or done laundry in his life. So he's he's learning how to do that right now.
Yeah,
that was all of us before.
He's more important. He learns the off ice stuff, and once that is all said and done, I think he'll be ready for the on ice stuff.
Once he learns to wash his underwear.
Yeah,
but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't put him in the NHL this year.
Right. So I read something today out of there, and apparently if the OHL season is delayed any further, because we still got nothing, he will be making his debut this season.
Wow.
There you have it.
I wish nothing but success for him. I think he's going to be a great player. He's a good kid. He's going to be great. You guys are lucky to.
I don't know yet. I think the jury's still out, but we'll see what happens.
I think you're going to love him when he gets there. He's
could have had Stutzle. Could have had Stutzle.
Yeah, but Byfield's the center. You'll like him better.
Okay. So you're saying there's a good chance when you look at the trajectory of those three players, Lafreniere's potentially third in that grouping.
I think Byfield's going to be the best of the bunch.
Wow. Are you hearing this, Kyle? He's checked out.
He's gone.
Okay. Well, if Kyle's checked out, we will check out too. So without further ado, thank you for tuning in once again. We thank you once again, Joe, for hopping on. Always a pleasure.
Anytime.
And we sign off. So until next time, Rink Moose is signing off.